According to multiple reports, last season, he led the NFL with 17.5 sacks and was selected as a first-team All-Pro. The Jacksonville Jaguars plan to release tight end Evan Ingram in a move that will save the team $5.9 million against the salary cap. That move came on the same day that the team agreed to trade receiver Christian Kirk to the Houston Texans for a 2026 seventh-round pick. It leaves Jacksonville without two of quarterback Trevor Lawrence's top pass catchers from the past 3 seasons. And according to NFL Media's Ian Rappaport, Titans visits continue today as former Miami quarterback Cam Ward is scheduled to be in town. The Titans hosted Penn State edge rusher Abdul Carter yesterday and are scheduled to meet with Shedeur Sanders on Monday. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. And we're brewed up for 4 more hours to finish off the week. A very happy Friday to you on RKW, brewed by Scooters Coffee. Visit your local Scooters locations in Brentwood, Goodlettsville, Mount Juliet, Smyrna, and White House. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. On Friday, March the 7th, it is the eve for us of legal tampering in the NFL. The new league year next week. We got SEC hoops. We've got March Madness coming to an end of the regular season. We have got lots to discuss. 615-737-1045. You stream the show on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling with Justin Hawkins behind the glass. Good morning.
Morning, good folks.
Come on,
How we doing?
Good, man.
Yeah.
Just want to be the first one to say Tennessee weather and pre-spring sucks, okay? That's all. It's just you never know what you're going to get. You can start the day off at 60 degrees. At nighttime, you're in the low 30s, okay? That's just how it goes here. Trust me, I felt it a little bit last night at a baseball park. So,
because you had baseball yesterday. That was chilly. Was
Every
the
night.
wind pretty bad yesterday for you guys?
Wind wasn't bad. The Tuesday, Wednesday, it was trash. Both the boys' games and stuff got canceled on Tuesday, Wednesday because of that, and also rain too. But yesterday it was actually pretty settled. Not bad at all.
I did enjoy your Instagram story post that said everyone's got practice, so dinner's either at 4:30 or 9.
Oh, wow.
It's relatable.
What one was it?
Yeah, 9 o'clock last night is
late one, huh?
what dinner was. That's exactly what we have to decide. Are we eating at 4:30, picking something up, going to the doggone baseball park, or we'll just grab something afterwards? That's because baseball games, y'all know how they go. They could be 2 hours.
True.
They can also be 4 hours.
4 hours.
I learned that in Knoxville over the weekend.
Oh,
Week too.
You always hope it's the earlier one. Never is, though.
Never is. And the moment you feel like, just like Will's situation, okay, just one more out. Nope. Extra innings. But all in all, though, it wasn't a bad time. It was pretty good last night. So I enjoyed watching baseball.
Nice.
What is the best time to eat dinner?
6.
Because I'm starting to go way earlier as I get older.
On our schedule, 5.
It's 5.
Yeah,
You're not
5:30.
wrong. We try when we're being normal or normal family, no sports for about a week. It's usually no later than 6:30.
Yeah.
I feel like 6:30 is the elite time, and I'm becoming more of a 5:30 person now.
You know what's even wilder on date night though? Date night, I will
Is that
set
early?
a reservation 5:45.
Yeah.
I don't even want the prime 7 o'clock, 6:45, 7:30
Same
times
here.
no more. Absolutely not, because the service is going to be prolonged anyway. Get there, I'm going to usually order appetizers. We're going to do drinks. By the time you get your meal, it's 6:45. Eat dinner 7. Man, that's the pro tip. Screw the 6:30 time, which you can never get anyway.
No.
Maybe that's just me.
6:30 and 7 is always usually what people like to make their reservations
In
at.
this city? Oh
Usually
my gosh.
7.
It's one
30.
establishment I've been trying to get into for about a year. I don't want to just make a yee call to some people
I was
I know.
about to say, you can
Well,
just
might as
publicly
well
put
just
it out
say
there.
it,
and
'cause maybe
maybe
then
they're
they'll give
listening.
you a call.
Not yet.
Okay.
Just because I don't have plans on going there for a little while. But there's a place in particular I've been trying to get in for like the last year, and every time I try to set a date, it's
full?
just full every
Yeah,
single
we got one of those
Dang.
too.
Yeah,
every single weekend.
I'm pretty good about reservations. Like when I plan anything with trips or people coming to see me, I am always on it. Like I will plan out so ahead of time. I don't understand those people, and I have friends like this, that don't get it. Like when you're coming to an it city or you're going to any type of place that's more of a destination, which that's usually where you're going if you're going on vacation, you have to book things ahead of time.
Way ahead of time.
Like people do not get that, whether it's Scottsdale or, whatever it might be. You have to book those good restaurants ahead of time. But people just seem not to get that.
Yeah, it's proper planning.
It frustrates me.
Proper planning is all it is.
Yes, it is proper planning.
Visit scheduled to continue for the Titans today. You have any messages for Cam Ward this morning? Maybe he's listening.
Yeah,
Kayla
Cam
loves you, Cam.
Glad to have you here. I've been your number one supporter since Washington State. Even though you transferred, I was cool with it. I thought that was the best thing for you. So go kill it today in your interviews, champ.
Go kill it today. Was there a way for him to stay?
No, absolutely not. You gotta just look at the landscape now in college football. We talk about it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Pullman's a little place in terms of getting the next level of eyes on you and really being taken seriously at the next level too, to up your draft stock. I think he absolutely had to go to the biggest place he could go to. And John Mateer did it just this past year while he's going to be at Oklahoma now. He was a standout for us last year as a quarterback. You don't hear about these guys till they then transfer to the big school, but you'll hear his name too this year in the SEC.
Yeah, that's fascinating because I was listening to Ron last night, Slay Savage.
I was like, wait, did you just say Ron?
I know, it's weird.
His government name. That's crazy.
It's either
Ronald.
Lil Ron. That's what we call him
Savage.
as family. Savage. Yeah, I was talking
Not Lil John, Lil
I was
Ronald.
listening to Savage last night, and he was speaking about it was either one of the UAB or FAU players.
Right.
And his play-by-play guy was saying that they have a player on their team that had been already offered $1 million to hop in the portal. He turned them down, though. Can you imagine? I mean, at 18, 19 years old, coming from FAU or UAB, like, I'm taking $1 million. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, if you are in college basketball and you are right now playing for a team that, I mean, you've been playing for anybody.
Seriously.
I mean, Austin Price said it on the show months ago. Like, you are always out there to possibly leave. Every single player on your team every year could leave. Every year, every single player could stay, no matter where you are. No matter if you're at, number one Auburn. I mean, KD Johnson plays for George Mason now, whose season just ended.
Right.
That guy also needs to enter the LinkedIn portal like many other athletes that are thinking about entering the transfer portal again. But there are literally on every single team players that are being poached as we speak.
Yeah, Savage said it was UAB. Listen, UAB Birmingham is a nice place.
They got a good thing going on right now, too, with Andy Kennedy.
Do.
They do.
Former Ole Miss coach.
I couldn't imagine, though, man, like being offered that to leave and let's just say go to, like, Gainesville, anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Well, go to Austin. Like, it is hard. It would be so hard to turn down that $1 million. But I get what you're saying, though, Kayla. Like, what about, like, the boosters? How's your red team? What do y'all call it?
I was just going to talk about that. It's the Crimson Collective.
Collective.
Here's the thing. It is, like I said, it's smaller, but there are good alums. But you just have to look at it in terms of the size of the schools compared to others. However, they went out of their way, y'all. It was like a big thing to raise money to keep John Mateer at Washington State. They raised over $1 million+ to keep John Mateer there. Unfortunately, Oklahoma took our offensive coordinator and Ben Arbuckle, and then they offered like almost $3 million. And it's like, you can't, I'm sorry, you just can't turn that down.
Y'all sound like
and you're
us
going to the SEC.
In the 2009, 2010 era of the Vols, man, using us as a platform school.
And that's okay, because I can still claim them because a lot of those guys played there for 2 years.
Yeah, I feel you.
By the way, congrats to BGA basketball and PCA, boys
PCA
basketball.
cold.
They are in the state championship playing each other. So 2 local teams will play Saturday for the Division II Class A state championship.
PCA cold. Yep. Yeah,
They've
got it together.
the Alabama, Auburn interest. Is it Washington?
They got a few guys in their teams,
I don't know. I'm not a basketball in high school for a minute.
Yeah, he's got interest in a whole bunch of teams.
Tell you who don't have a problem with paying NIL, though.
Who?
Eagles. Do you hear me?
Oh, the Philadelphia Eagles?
Did you see the salary cap math that I have put in? I've got salary cap 101 I'm going to teach here coming up in a few minutes.
Can't wait to go to school this morning. I've seen it.
I was talking to Peyton last night, like, well, our plans, whatever. I was like, sorry, I'm very deep in learning about void years and about 5-year prorations of signing bonuses in the NFL. I'm basically coming with receipts on why the Bengals are the cheapest team in pro sports.
Thank you.
Coming up here in a few
go.
minutes.
That's what I wanted to say. They're a team with no NIL too.
Right.
$1 billion business.
Yeah, who's the team with the least amount of NIL that can never keep their players? That's the Bengals in the NFL.
Eagles.
And it's gone back years, right? Like, you just talk about all the other players that have justified that,
I think that's just what it is. So it's just who they are. Like, you hear about players like Mike Hilton, I think, got treated well there. Like, they got one or two hot spots that they've paid over the time. But as far as like having a team full of like dudes and they're willing to pay for them,
rare.
It's rare is what you say, and they're gonna suffer from it if they don't turn stuff around. I mean, quickly. So I can't wait to go through this with Will Bowden.
Yeah.
So with Trey Hendrickson now requesting a trade or being given permission to seek a trade, Warren Sharp put this out yesterday. So the Bengals and Eagles both signed their quarterback ones to extensions in 2023. Since then, one Cincinnati Bengal has been re-signed to a contract over $40 million. That's Logan Wilson. 8 Philadelphia Eagles were signed to contracts over $40 million. 8 of them in that time. A.J. Brown, Landon Dickerson, Lane Johnson, Devontae Smith, Jordan Mailata, Zach Bond, Darius Slay, and Saquon Barkley.
That's embarrassing.
So there are reasons why Philadelphia is capable of doing more deals than Cincinnati. And there is a reason why. There is one thing way more important than salary cap math that you've got to be able to do if you want to be taken serious in the NFL. And we're going to talk about that next. Hey, it's Will Bowling. If you've been looking for cars and you see the words buy here, pay here, maybe you've been thinking about heading somewhere else. Most of those dealers, they come with certain reputations, but I'm here to tell you there is one place you can go and trust. That's Nolensville Road Automart. They're different for a few simple reasons. They have been doing business in Nashville for 61 years. And like me, they're Nashville natives. They only sell clean title cars under 12 grand. So if you're new to town and you need a place to trust, they've got you. Or if you need that first car for a 16-year-old in your family, they can do that too. And if you don't want to take my word for it, head on to the Google reviews. Check them out. They are excellent, and that is saying something as well for a car dealership. One location on Nolensville Road, close to Thompson Lane, to get you in and out in an hour or less. You can call ahead at 615-242-1279. The best part, they're the oldest buy here, pay here in Nashville, and they work with your own financing if you have it. Flexibility, transparency, and honesty. That's why I recommend Nolensville Road Automart. Give them a call at 615-242-1279. RKW on 104.5 The Zone, brewed by Scooter's Coffee. We're going to get to the cheapest team maybe in pro sports. And we've got a listener, Danny in the borough, who will either call us or just never listen to the show again probably after this next segment. Your calls at 615-737-1045. We got a lot of Bengals fans, honestly, to listen to this show.
We do.
We're not that far from Northern Kentucky where they play football up there. But first, let's go to Micah in Nolensville, who has called in early this morning wanting to talk Vols. What's up, Micah?
What's up, Micah?
Hey, guys. Hey, that was a tough loss the other day. Tough one, but I think we're still going to be fine, whether it's a 1 or 2 seed. A couple of things. Will, I was listening to the Radford game this past Tuesday. That was a great call by you. That was a great game. And then also, Miss Bert, always loved him there, but we got a new guy. It's Bert Jr. back there. And then finally, shout out to Ben. He listens to this radio show every morning. I saw him the other day. He wanted to shout out, so shout out to Ben. But thanks for taking my call, and go Vols.
Go Vols.
Look at
Micah. With Big Friday energy,
nice.
Justin,
man.
how do you feel about being called Bert Jr.?
Bert Jr. I'm going to channel my inner Bert.
Was that you?
Yeah.
Bert Jr.
I thought it was a recording at first.
Justin.
Man, he makes so many weird sounds. You got to
He does.
go with it.
That was very close to a
You're not
Bert
beating
sound.
the Bert Jr. allegations by sounding like it.
No, you're
I'm
not.
going to channel my inner Bart.
Bart.
There we
yeah,
go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we got Bart at home. It's essentially
Bart,
what we
Bart,
got.
Bart.
Home and home. Listen at him. I love it, man.
By the way, that is, I don't know, Justin, if you've ever met Micah, maybe at one of the events.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
I think, I mean, to be honest with you, this is like one and a half years ago. I don't know. It was like a Buck Rising thing at Hattie B's.
Okay.
He actually came on Buck's show, and they did a little sit
right.
down.
Yeah.
I was doing some promotion stuff at the time, but I don't think I've really officially met him. But it's good to receive a little shout out, even if I'm
There
called
you go.
Bert Jr.
Exactly.
Early in the morning.
Maybe you'll
too.
earn your name here, next time.
Hey, be good enough so they remember your
Micah.
name, Jayhawk.
Oh,
That's what they say.
Jayhawk. I like it.
Jayhawk.
scream it into the rafters.
There you go.
Yes.
For the second straight year, Trey Hendrickson wants a trade. This time he's going to get what he wants. In the last two seasons, guys, Trey Hendrickson has 35 sacks. TJ Watt, 30.5. Daniil Hunter, 28.5. He's 30 years old. He led the NFL 17.5 sacks last season. Him and Jamar Chase were the Bengals' first All-Pro selection since 2015. Both first-team All-Pro guys also reached the Pro Bowl for a fourth straight year, so he gets to play dodgeball with his friends. 2 years ago, he signed a one-year extension to the original four-year, $60 million deal that he signed in 2021. In 2025, he's set to earn a $15.8 million base salary, a $200,000 roster bonus. That's a red flag, considering the way Cincinnati operates, and an $18.7 million cap hit. So is Cincinnati, guys, making the right decision, A, by giving Trey Hendrickson just the ability to seek a trade, and B, choosing him over T. Higgins and Jamar Chase? Or choosing Jamar Chase and T. Higgins over him?
I think you choose what the quarterback wants in this situation for sure, but there is a way for them to make it work. This is also where, to me, just to go personal without the stats and stuff like that, this is where sometimes I hate like ownerships and teams and fans too, where they don't believe the players deserve something. To me, Trey Hendrickson deserves this from Cincinnati. Cincinnati lives under the veil of saying we don't have to, and they don't. They absolutely do not. But players get a bad rep in these situations when they want more and deserve more. And the teams are just pretty much just like, yeah, you go do your own thing. Good on Cincinnati for now allowing him to go seek a trade, but they got another year on them, made him a year older going into free agency, and now they know his price is even higher also, so it's probably making it a little bit more complicated. I say I'll let him probably get traded today. But what I'm saying is this. Sometimes your organization has to do right by people, especially if you, the fan, you the consumer of said team, are spending your hard-earned money, and this team is still allowing you to have a bad product. Their biggest issue last year was that defense could not stop a nosebleed to help itself at all. And you mean to tell me you got this all-world quarterback, and you're not trying to support him on the other side of the ball? That sucks. And we're talking about, I know the economy and stuff like that. We're talking about like spoiled athletes getting millions of dollars and stuff like that. But you're compensated for what the business allows you to be.
Sure. Look, there's no doubt in my mind that the Cincinnati Bengals did not get to where they wanted to last year because of one side of the ball. 100% defense. And I feel like at times the only truly productive player out there consistently was by far Trey Hendrickson. I mean, and you look at the next best, productive guy in terms of at least sacks, because I know that's not the end all be all. But is it Osai, Joseph Osai? Joseph Osai is I think how you pronounce
the wide receiver.
That's how you pronounce it.
Defensive end.
Okay.
He had 5 sacks. 17 and a half sacks. And the next best guy in terms of getting to the quarterback, 5 sacks. Nobody above that in terms of anybody else. Everybody else contributing wise was below 3. And again, I know that's not the end all be all, but this defense was cheeks.
Yeah.
They didn't rank top 15 in any category. They were pretty much 20 and below in terms of all defensive categories last year. And you're meaning to tell me that you're not going to be dedicated to giving a guy like Trey Hendrickson, who's not only done it for 1 year, but he's done it back-to-back years. I get it, he's over 30. And I know that probably plays some part into, well, we can't give you this money, because then again, Max Crosby was just given a huge deal, the biggest deal for any non-quarterback in the NFL. So I'm sure that Trey Hendrickson wants a big deal as well, and maybe that's a big part of it.
The one more thing too, Will, before you go with this, it's just like certain things. Like, all right, I'll use Cam Hayward for instance. He's old as ever right now. He's fighting Father Time bad, but Pittsburgh did not have to re-sign him, but they kept him around for a couple of reasons. Production is still there. The standard of what they operate is still there as far as he goes to, and they're also letting him raise up the guy behind him.
He's a keeper of the culture.
Absolutely.
In Pittsburgh, a place that has a really good culture.
And that matters.
Yeah,
and
sure.
sometimes you might have to bite the pillow. Sometimes it'd be like, all right, we'll keep it here. You'll stay.
With how much the salary cap goes up every single season, it's really okay to overpay players. Like, I know that's a big thing this time of year, and I like talking about these things on the front end of free agency, because it does set the standard of how we on this show and on other shows on this station can talk about this intelligently. But like, overpaying is just a part of professional sports. It all comes down to, who do you trust enough within their health, within their work ethic, within their performance long term to overpay. Yeah. The Titans are going to pay a premium for some guys in free agency. The contenders are going to overpay some of their own to keep them in their own organizations. It's just a part of it. That discourse on social media gets really tired to me. Oh, that's a terrible deal. That's an overpay. Well, sometimes you overpay and that guy goes and wins you a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Take a look at Brown, AJ, and Smith, Devontae. In Philadelphia, AJ Brown probably not overpaid. But Devontae Smith,
Donald, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Cincinnati is the 10th most cap space in the NFL going into this offseason.
You would never know that by the way.
$52.2 million of top 51 cap space. They got more cap space than the Titans do.
They do.
See, that's almost funny to me.
That's hilarious. I think it's awesome.
I'll be honest with y'all, it's sad.
It's very sad if you're a Cincinnati fan today.
Absolutely. I'd be mad as hell on that.
So here is the crazy part of this. So NFL researcher Troy Holtzman-Scarano put this out yesterday. If a trade happened, Trey Hendrickson would be the first player to record 15-plus sacks in each of the 2 seasons prior to being traded. This doesn't happen. It doesn't matter if you're 35. If you have 15 sacks in back-to-back seasons, you don't get traded.
No, you do not.
So Brent Coleman of Underdog put this out there and said, comparing the Eagles and the Bengals, because we just did that tweet from Warren Sharp. Since both teams signed their quarterbacks to extensions in 2023, one Bengal was signed to a contract over $40 million. 8 Eagles were signed to contracts over $40 million. So if you are asking this morning, how is that possible? How can 2 teams who both just pay their quarterbacks go very opposite direction? Well, I'm glad you asked. So Brett Coleman put this out there, says Jeffrey Lurie, Eagles owner, has hundreds upon hundreds of millions of liquid capital right now to make the majority of Saquon Barkley's deal guaranteed, and Howie Roseman, the GM, can manipulate the cap however he wants with their void year shenanigans. We're going to talk about void years. We're going to talk about signing bonuses and prorated 5-year deals or 5-year cap hits according to the CBA. Ramon, I want to ask you, though, when you were a Steeler for 11 years, how much was void years and the signing bonus part of this part of the conversation? Because this became more of a thing after COVID when the cap went down for the first time in decades and teams had to get more creative.
It wasn't much of a deal at the time. It was more about, all right, what's your dead cap and how you going to find ways to not get cut in the future years? And also, can you get an extension based upon that big dead cap? And whenever that contract came due at the end, there was no real void years conversation at all. Like, this was all new to me too.
Okay.
So the signing bonus part of it, though, I imagine has been regular for players, has been regular for manipulating the cap for a long time. Because according to the CBA, if you get a signing bonus, that money can be spread out and prorated over 5 years of a contract. Mm-hmm. So that has been a thing for you guys for longer than the void year manipulation that we're about to get into.
Absolutely. And your down the line money, this was also something that always happened to the restructuring. So if a guy wanted more money, they restructure for more of their later money, that which also raised their dead cap. And at that point, when they got closer to the dead cap number, you get an extension.
So when you hear teams talk about we are restructuring, like the Cowboys the other day restructured Dak Prescott's contract to make $30+ million of cap space. And I want you to fact check me on all this. Correct me if I'm wrong, because you've lived this. Obviously, you're a lot more in this than I am. That is turning a certain amount of money into a signing bonus, which is paid out up front immediately. So the player gets more instant gratification. They get the money on the front end. It's not paid game by game. And then you can prorate that amount of money over up to 5 years.
Yes, same exact thing. And what it does is give players security. Although if you decline, this is the only caveat to that, if you are a player that so happens to be in year 9 or 10 and you get a restructure and that cap is higher on the back end, then you're cut risk at that point, unless you have good production. So yes, it gives you security, guaranteed money at that time, and the ability to say, I'm up now as far as my new pay.
So when we talk about when players don't want to restructure, that would be the reason why. They don't want to be an easier cut candidate on the back end.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Because to me, it sounds pretty good. Like, I get my $30 million now. Yeah. I don't have to get it. I don't have to get as many big game checks. I just get it all now.
Let's say you got 2 years left on that.
Okay.
And then you get restructured. Let's say they move $18 million up. That 18 does have to be paid for down the line because, to your point, it's spread out.
Right.
And if you decline, hey, sir, sorry, we're going to cut you at that point. Yeah.
So Andrew Brandt at SI.com has written about this. He says, let's make this very simple. Cash is real money.
Very much
Cap is accounting. So teams like Cincinnati are being cheap. If they really wanted to keep Trey Hendrickson, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase, they could give each of them a big contract with guaranteed cash up front, a big signing bonus that is prorated over 5 years. And let's say you have a 30-year-old player, you only want to give him a 3-year deal. You put 2 void years on the back end of that contract, and then you can spread it out over those years as well. So the Philadelphia Eagles have done this amazingly. A.J. Brown has a $53 million cap hit in 2030. $53 million. They have spent the most amount of money from 2027 and beyond. They have accounted for hundreds of millions of dollars between Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, all of their players. Yeah. Jeffrey Lurie has cash up front where he says, all right, I can pay each of these guys a $30 million signing bonus the second they sign. Cincinnati does not have the facilities for that, big man. They do not have the ability and the liquid cash from their ownership, and many teams don't, to pay out a big bonus that then you can pay over 5 years.
Yeah, and that was my question. Is that then we're just comparing a lot of these teams too in terms of the cash part of it?
Yeah.
A lot of these teams don't have that. What are the teams that you would say are cash heavy?
Big bank take little bank. Jags are. LA is.
Yeah, Jags are rich.
Philly is. Dallas is.
The Niners?
Washington at this point.
And this is also the motivation for a lot of these ownership groups to add minority owners.
Yeah.
Like you hear the Denver Broncos added a ton of those minority owners a few years ago. Mm-hmm. You become more cash rich. You are more liquid to where you can pay and manipulate the cap. And yeah, Zach Lyons in the YouTube chat says, don't forget the Eagles also sold ownership shares in December 2024. You have more cash on hand, which allows you to manipulate the salary cap more. So you're going to hear a lot of once, free agency starts next week and tampering starts next week, they just don't have the money to keep ... If your owner has cash, you can kind of keep a lot of guys. Now, you're taking a risk. Mm-hmm. You need to only do this with people who you know are going to stay. That's the thing the Eagles have done, because then you can keep kicking that dead cap void year money down the road. So if they keep A.J. Brown in Philly beyond 2030, then maybe that dead cap money can be spread out even more to 2032, 2033, and we're talking really far down the road.
How the hell do the Browns do what they continue to do then?
They got big. They got oil
Haslam?
money.
Haslam is one of the richer owners in the league.
So the Haslams are considered
money.
still big-time money.
Cash.
Big time.
Cash heavy.
Big time.
The biggest thing in that, though, too, Will, you speaking about AJ being kicked down the line is this. This is why I was speaking about this team as far as what phase are you in? What phase are you in? Because if you are in rebuild phase, at by 2030, AJ may be on the out. You never know if they don't have a younger quarterback at that time, too.
Right.
You have the ability to reset, which is what's super unique about Patrick Mahomes' deal, too. Patrick Mahomes can still get money moved forward because of how big his deal was. He can always restructure, and you can plan on him being there for years to come because he's a quarterback, their longevity of it. And the biggest part to me, Will, on the teams that have done this as of late, Rams, Philly, Chiefs, because Chris Jones got broke off too.
Oh, yeah.
What's the common denominator if you got it off? I'll tell you. Common denominator is Super Bowl II.
Sure.
That gives you a lot of grace.
Yeah, if you're in a window, you can do this.
That raises your value too.
That's the crazy thing is Cincinnati is dead in the middle of a Super Bowl window, and they are unwilling as an ownership group to take the risk to do the void years and restructure a lot of money. A, because they just don't have as much cash as many other ownership groups. But B, like, let's be honest. If you own an NFL team, you've got cash. How willing are you to spend it?
Right.
How willing are you to invest in that part of your organization? Or are you building a new stadium? Are you building a new practice facility? Are you building other things? Are you involved in other projects? So being cash rich really matters in the NFL, I think, more than the average fan understands, more than probably I understood before I really read into all these things. I felt this was an appropriate time to do a little bit of salary cap 101. I hope I haven't bored all the people.
No, and it's interesting because I want to ask another question then in terms of why the Bengals. So the cash obviously is an issue. They don't have as much as other organizations, but they can still find ways. I get that.
Yeah.
I think another issue, though, with the Bengals is they sit on their hands. They wait for so long to sign the guys that I feel like they could get a deal done earlier. And then again, the market's reset. We're just seeing it with Max Crosby now. When they know how valuable Trey Hendrickson has been. Like, I just feel like they are the worst at waiting and waiting to make these guys, long term or sign them to new deals. And it's cash. Like they screw themselves.
And Joe Burrow really has covered up how bad of an organization they are. Like, honestly.
Yes.
Like, they were bad at the perfect time to get a generational talent at quarterback that has made them look significantly more competent than they really are. And I think Zach Taylor's a fine coach. I'm not thinking it's not really an indictment on him. It is more so on the ownership and the organization that does not want to spend on their team.
Real quick, and another one that had to get done too, and they made it happen also, was Chris Jones. His last deal was a 5-year, $158.75 million deal. $158 million. Will, to your point about cash, they went ahead and chopped some of this down. They gave him $30 million up front. So that's spread over 5 years. That's $6 a year, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So you have that right there, and they guaranteed them 95. That 30 still goes and set 95. So he still got $65 million of new money that has to be paid out. You want to hear what's even colder about this situation? They can get out of that deal in 2026.
And his cap hit this season was $7 million.
Jeez, that's nothing.
$7 million because they paid a big signing bonus up front.
And
they paid cash.
To your point, his cap hit in 2026 will be $41 million. What do we expect to happen with the cap in 2026?
It'll go up considerably.
So that 41 floor is now lower. That's what I'm telling folks about, like, this free agency signings. Like what you think is big money will actually be middle of the road money.
And so that's the thing about the void years. So to give an example real quick. So imagine if you had a 2-year, $10 million, let's say you had a 2-year contract with a $10 million signing bonus. That $10 million would be divided over the 2 years of the contract. 2 years, 10. And the salary cap would be $5 million each. But let's say, using the same $10 million, you sign 2 void years on the end of it. So that means that you can then spread out that bonus over 4 years instead of a 2-year contract. The challenge with that is if that player leaves or retires or is released, then you are on the hook for that money when the contract voids in future seasons. It is in your best interest to do those deals with guys you know are going to stay around.
Sure.
Because when you re-sign them, you can then accrue that cap hit, but they're still playing for you. And then you can restructure the deal again and kick that can down the road again. Chris Jones doesn't have any void years.
No.
Chris Jones is a guy they know is probably out by the time he is done. That's not in Kansas City's best interest. It is in Philadelphia's best interest to make that happen. Void years you're going to hear, that is something that contending teams can do.
And you know what you do at that point? You plan on finding a new Chris Jones.
Sure.
It's the same way we were speaking about with Cam Hayward. At 36 years old, they went and found a Keanu Benton.
Best example I can give is Tom Brady. He restructured his deal after winning the Super Bowl to give him 80% of the total value in a signing bonus. Again, Glazers. Cash-rich organization, even though philosophically, they don't like doing restructures. They don't like doing void years. They added 3 void years to the end of Tom Brady's deal. So that $40 million signing bonus that would have been spread over 2 seasons can now be spread over 5 seasons.
Right.
And then when he retired, they got $16 million of it back because he retired prior to 2022.
By the way, Cousin Danny is taking receipts in the chat. I want to know though. I would be mad. I would be mad if I were you, Cousin Danny. That's what I want to know. Aren't you mad?
As far as I didn't think we was doing anything
No,
bad.
I'm just talking about to his team.
We're trying. I know we're trying to champion your team on to sign its studs. T and Jamar and Trey. Trey should have been done last year.
Trey should have been. That's what I said. Get the deals done earlier.
615-737-1045 is our number. More headlines of the AFC South. It is a fire sale in Jacksonville. We'll give you the details of that next. Hey, it's Will Bowling. If you're thinking about getting into the trades or ready to take your skills further, Lee Company has the opportunities you are looking for. Lee Company is hiring skilled tradespeople in HVAC, plumbing, electrical, sheet metal, and more. With 80-plus years in business, competitive pay, and free training, their award-winning team is ready to help you grow in your career. You can apply today at leecompany.com/careers. That's leecompany.com/careers. You want to go work for the folks who have been trusted for over 80 years here in Middle Tennessee. Trusted since 1944. They're open 24/7. 14 community locations in Tennessee, Kentucky, and Alabama with over 1,700 employees. Lee Company, they're involved in our local communities, whether that's Little League sports, high school sports, local events, and sponsorships. Plus, they're proud partners of the Tennessee Titans and the Nashville Predators. So if you are looking for that next career, you can apply today at leecompany.com/careers. Again, that's leecompany.com/careers. Lee Company, all you need. RKW brewed by Scooter's Coffee, wrapping up the first hour of your Friday morning. It's way too early to do math, but that's what we've been doing today.
Man, I expanded my brain.
That was good.
It's a good thing.
I love that. I'm going to be real with you because I always tell people it's a game, but it's the business behind it that we can never forget about.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yep.
The Jacksonville Jaguars are playing that game. They're going to play that game with a lot of new players next year. Releasing tight end Evan Ingram in a move that will save him $6 million against the salary cap yesterday. And Christian Kirk got traded to the Houston Texans for a 2026 7th-round pick. Essentially, penny, a literal penny, a future 7th, which is just like a little ticket you get at the fair that says, I get to talk with this player before everyone else does.
Right.
So that's exactly what they've done. After the trade of Kirk, Ingram would have had the highest salary cap figure on the roster, right under $20 million in 2025. He basically parlayed a couple of really good games against the Titans into a huge contract. And now he is a free agent.
That's what I was going to say. Now, he is, Evan Ingram, one of those situations where you have to be smart about.
Yep.
But his deal wasn't overly long. It's just that he had played enough. They have the quarterback had just paid him to keep his weapons around, too. So some of his circumstance, you knew he was running a risk with a guy like Evan Ingram, already been older, not really having those types of years before. But when you have the cohesion with the quarterback the way he did and have the production with this quarterback, too, you have to sell out for that. Now, you can look at that and say, man, that was bad business. But the expectation of what Trevor Lawrence and that offense was going to do with a guy like him,
yeah.
I mean, that was what he had earned, and you'd hope that it paid dividends for him. And now, short deal, get out of it, eat the bread, and just restart. Also, this is another one of those things that happen when you have so much instability in your organization, too. Like, Liam Cohen probably doesn't like Evan Ingram. He has a different mindset on what he wants to do with a tight end and his offense and et cetera. So, there's a lot of this conversation that comes with stability. Like Nick Sirianni has solidified himself. Sean McVay solidified himself, right? You can make those moves when you know the standard is going to be there. I'm not sure with what's going on with let's say said Cincinnati or Cleveland or any of those teams that got those high-paid quarterbacks, but when it comes down to you having the ability to project what your future looks like, it's easier, as Will was saying earlier, to buy into the guys that are yours and extend them out and don't feel bad about that money.
I thought this was actually a good deal, if you ask me. I mean, Evan Ingram was spectacular in 2023, and we all know he was, somewhat rewarded for that. But his numbers went drastically down, too. And plus, he played 17 games in 2023. He played just 9 games this past season.
How old is he?
He's 30.
See, that's...
You have to be smart, right?
But at the time, it was necessary for Trevor Lawrence.
But to let it go now, because guess what's incoming? They're getting young at their skill positions, which is, I think, going to pay off. They could go get a wide receiver in the first round of the draft, guys. I feel like they could go replace their tight end. The tight ends are good in this year's draft. I feel like they could go and get a tight end as well who is young and feed them in.
Another little pro tip, too, that teams will do, and players hate them, depending on where they are in their deal and age, too. But the roster bonuses and workout bonuses, too, don't count as their bonuses. They don't count against the cap either. One of those things you can push out later also.
Cash.
Yes.
Straight cash, homie.
Yes.
Jacksonville badly needing defense in this NFL draft. They have been linked heavily with Mason Graham, the defensive tackle out of Michigan. And I honestly think it's like, hey, we've got this guy named Brian Thomas Jr. He's really good at catching footballs. Oh, sure. There are a lot of dudes we can make the 2s and 3s that would be 3s and 4s elsewhere who are going to be open because everyone's going to want to cover Brian Thomas Jr. because he's really good at catching footballs.
Yeah, that's helped out
it's
a lot
really that
with
simple.
him.
For Jacksonville.
And he wasn't the top LSU receiver.
They are a really interesting team going into next season, Jacksonville. Like Liam Cohen's ability to take a good quarterback and make them great. And I believe Trevor Lawrence is a really good quarterback. Like the ceiling for Trevor Lawrence has gone up significantly because he's going to be coached by Liam Cohen. The problem is, like, can that loser organization figure out ways to put good players around him and just pick good football players with their yeah, exactly.
That's so weird.
With their 20-year-old general manager who looks like he's younger than me.
It sounds mean to say they're that loser organization.
Well, it's big facts.
Until you change those narratives. For a while, the Rams, to me, I didn't think highly of him.
I mean, the Saints are the ultimate example of like the loser organization pre-Drew Brees, Sean Payton. And now we think of them as this really well-run team. It's like,
Kansas City, Will.
You just had a perfect mix of quarterback and head coach. And 100%. Kansas City is right there in the mix as well. Yeah. Buffalo with Josh Allen, too.
Exactly. I mean, they had some years where they were going back to back to back, but they couldn't win.
That's crazy. It was.
But with Trevor Lawrence, too, and Liam Cohen, this is also, I think it can be huge for him, but I think it also could be the dagger. If he can't get it together and figure out how to will his team to the playoffs under Liam Cohen and maybe grow as a quarterback, I mean, that could be a situation for him, too, where you're looking at Trevor Lawrence and being like, what did he ever really do? I know his numbers are good.
4,000-yard seasons.
I know his numbers are good, but you're never going to be looked at fully, though, if you couldn't bring your team to where they needed to be.
Well, he's under contract through 2030, so they ain't getting rid of him.
No.
I mean, if he doesn't work under Liam Cohen, they're just going to bring a new head coach in to coach him. Or flip him for a ton of draft capital. But again, like we're far from having that discussion. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is the same age as Will Levis.
Damn.
Trevor Lawrence is only like, I think, a year older than Tyler Shuck.
And he was dubbed a generational talent.
And I think he is.
I don't think
100%. I mean,
you look at Urban Meyer, and then, of course, they wouldn't let Peterson do what he wanted to do down there. So apparently it was a big struggle with him and what his projection looked like for that team. And now you finally get a guy that you think is his dude.
I think the narrative on Trevor Lawrence has totally flipped. I think he was pretty overrated in the very beginning of his career. Now I think he's honestly kind of flipped way too much the other way.
Yeah,
like
and I'm
he's
not
still
saying he's
a really
dog
talented
trash.
player. I'm not saying you are, but I think he deserves more respect, in my opinion.
I just don't think he's a generational talent. And he did. He got that was the headline more than Caleb Williams, I think, when he came out of the draft.
Oh, yeah. He was highly rated.
He was kind of viewed even the way Arch Manning was, of like, if you could take him after his freshman season, you would. Which I still would with Arch Manning, with the number one pick this year. Call me crazy.
I look at Trevor Lawrence a lot like how Matthew Stafford's situation was.
Interesting.
I think I'll look at it as Andrew Luck.
Luck.
Yeah.
Only reason I mentioned
Played a lot
Stafford,
of football, winner, brought his program to new heights.
If you're talking about Stafford, though, maybe he needs a reset somewhere.
And that's what I'm saying. Maybe it's Liam Cohen. Like, he don't have to move because they got a new head coach who was specifically for him, to where Matthew Stafford, you knew he was good, which was in a trash organization at the time.
Right.
And he finally got put with his guy, Sean McVay.
I think it's fair.
Yeah, that's the way I
in
look
terms
at it.
of the organization part of it, 100% right.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
He's a younger Matthew Stafford. Thing is, if he moves to another team, he's still 10 years away from that point in his career where Stafford kind of did that.
Right.
Not 10 years, but about 5 or 6 years away from doing that. 615-737-1045. There is a reporter in New Jersey, a reputable source that is saying the New York Giants are very much in the mix for Aaron Rodgers. We're going to hear from him coming up next. Get you the latest in the quarterback market after this.
When couples walk into Genesis Diamonds, their eyes get so big. It's a mind-blowing display of sparkling jewelry. Literally thousands of choices when it comes to engagement rings. All the styles you've seen online are right there. But the experts at Genesis make them feel totally at ease. They're offered a beverage. They're asked a lot of questions about their taste and style. They are given a no-holds-barred education segment, and they're even told the secrets of the jewelry business. The consultants at Genesis are not on commission, all right? They are not retail clerks. They are not transaction focused. They can spend 30 minutes with you or 3 hours. It doesn't matter. You can see dozens and dozens of diamonds in an array of sizes and shapes and color grades. You can see handcrafted rings from all the top designers that other stores aren't even allowed to carry. You can also see the difference between a diamond that's properly cut and one like you might see on one of those online places. The differences, they will blow your mind. Bottom line, Genesis will take away all the risk, all the mystery, all the confusion, and help you make a decision that you will be confident in for years to come. Genesis Diamonds, a true direct importer with rock bottom prices and a luxury experience with no compromise. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
7:02, good morning from the 104.5 The Zone studios, and happy Friday. I'm Will Bowling. For the second straight year, Bengals star defensive end Trey Hendrickson sought permission to seek a trade, and this year he appears to get his wish granted. Hendrickson will be granted permission to seek a trade. According to multiple reports, in 2024, he led the NFL with 17 and a half sacks and was selected as a first-team All-Pro. The Jacksonville Jaguars plan to release tight end Evan Ingram in a move that will save them just under $6 million against the salary cap. That move comes on the same day that the team agreed to trade wide receiver Christian Kirk to the Houston Texans for a 2026 seventh-round pick, and it leaves the Jags without two of quarterback Trevor Lawrence's top pass catchers from the past 3 seasons. And according to NFL Media's Ian Rappaport earlier this week, Titans visits will continue today as former Miami quarterback Cam Ward is scheduled to be in town. The Titans hosted Penn State edge rusher Abdul Carter yesterday, according to reports, and are scheduled to meet with Shedeur Sanders on Monday. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. Brewed up by Scooter's Coffee for hour 2 on this Friday morning. We stream it live on 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. And coming up in 15 minutes on RKW, Brent Hubbs of VolQuest and On 3 will stop by. Today, the start of Tennessee football spring practice. We made it, guys. Football's back.
There we go.
All the way back.
Yeah, exactly.
Football is here again, boys and girls.
2 months.
Put on that orange
So
penny
funny.
over there and wear that stinky practice jersey. We're back, boys.
It's 2 things I've always wanted to do, like post-retirement, just to feel like an old head and just wave my hand over something. It was go to a training camp practice at the old place I used to work, in Pittsburgh, and just see how miserable it looks. And I want to be able to go to a spring practice and be like, this sucks. Look at y'all.
I remember us having 6 a.m. practices at Tennessee, and our coaches would sip coffee and just look at us, and I would look up at them like, I want to come back one day.
Yeah.
And I want to grab a big cup of coffee and come to the park at 6 a.m. and just, it feels like a good day to run today, boys.
Because you guys are still
Grass
getting up that
smelling good.
early. You're just not exerting that much
Listen.
unnecessary energy.
Listen, man.
Terrible.
Will, that's all. I'm not
Two-a-days
the only one,
every
Caleb.
day. Yeah, we still had 2-a-days.
Yeah, y'all did.
Oh, yeah.
Did you have it at all?
Oh, yeah.
I had it my first 2 years in NFL and all through college. We
Okay,
used to,
so you- okay.
you want to know
Terrible,
where
man.
Tennessee basketball was at the time? Okay, we practiced in the outfield of the baseball field. Is where
Damn.
we were. Like, we're not, like, the way that
Yeah.
university looks right now,
Whoa.
like, you can't even get to the baseball field. Like, we
That's
just
correct.
walk down the hill.
Yep.
They had big old, like, event tents that we used to go under, and they give us popsicles under there. God, how times have
We
changed.
worked out on the soccer
cool
field
off.
a ton. Like the 2 soccer fields together. We would run laps around both the fields put together, and man, it's a lot of left.
Dude, I just want to laugh and laugh at them just like
I know.
getting beat down in training
Right?
camp.
Oh,
That's
how
all.
totally
times
with
have
you.
changed, though, in
That's
terms
all I
of
want.
the facilities, man.
God, that's all I want to do is just hold a cup of whatever, okay? And just,
Yep.
do y'all got one-on-ones today?
You should you should also have a hose right next to you. Just, just hose down.
Nah, it's just
Whoever
get
that
out.
That would feel nice for them.
Yeah, it might.
Honestly, so a normal day for us, like early in the season when it was still really hot outside, we would do a 6 a.m. run, usually like 9 or 10 miles, like some kind of workout. They would put us in like a church van kind of situation. We would not get time to shower and go back to the facility. They would drop us off if we had 8 a.m. classes at our 8 a.m. class at about 8:20. We'd be a little bit late. We would then go to sleep in between classes, come back out for another run and a lift, and then meetings, usually around like 3 o'clock. And it was like, y'all better not schedule classes during that time because we've got practice. So figure it out. And as you got older, it was like more and more challenging to like not have practice during or not have class during practice. So you'd come back out, like you do a lift, which for runners is much different. It's like calisthenics kind of stuff and like med ball and things like that. But then you do another run after a lift, and it was a lot.
And speaking of which, like your own personal interest does not set your major when you go to college. Your sport does. Okay?
Correct.
Right.
You make yourself available for the time that your sport's
non-revenue is a little bit different, especially in our sport where you could work out by yourself if you were like trusted enough.
Yeah.
But you had to be like a senior in a course that literally had a class that is mandatory for your major that has to happen then. Because we didn't have the luxury of like you can take mini term or summer. Because in our sport, like you don't do summer work, you just go home and do your own summer workouts, and you come back in August. So it's different.
Without making this an OnlyFans situation, Will, like how did your feet feel? How did your? Because I was mentioning feet, I know people enjoy
That's
those
just a
type
fetish
things.
in general, not even OnlyFans.
What? Yeah. How did you
Rex Ryan better
deal
not be
with
listening.
your feet like 2-a-days? And I'm sure this isn't just like a light run, like.
No, yeah. Like they would tell us like the slowest we want you to go is 6-minute mile pace for easy runs.
That's a sprint.
Which, it is for me now, for sure. Everyone's like, oh, you could still run. No, I cannot. I have not run competitively for now 9 years. So it's left me. I struggle going 10-minute pace now. I'll tell you what. No, I mean, we would get new gear days every 2 months or 3 months.
Okay.
So we would get new running shoes every 3 months.
All right.
Which helps. But I mean, again, story like my Achilles issues are why I had to. One of the many reasons. I was slow. I was bad. I was bad at the sport. That's why one of the reasons why I had to stop. I actually hurt my Achilles again yesterday doing 90-second intervals. Where like I can't run anymore.
He was bragging about them
because it does not. When was I bragging about?
He was
that?
ready to go lift.
The running I was not bragging about because I am slow now.
I thought we were talking about the lift.
I'm slow.
You hurt your Achilles?
Yes.
God,
I was doing 4 sets of 90 seconds running, 60 seconds walking, and I hurt my Achilles again. Like I can't do it anymore. I know. I know. The other one you'd always get, and then I promise I'll stop talking about me, was like, what's your mile time? Well, I kind of stunk at that one, so.
Yeah.
What was your race then?
5K and 10K was technically my race. And then cross country. I was better at cross country than track. I don't know why. I don't know. I liked breaking people on hills when nobody was watching. Like I loved it getting away from fans. I loved it when it was quiet and you got to motivate yourself. And I could just take somebody's soul on a hill like miles away from their loved ones.
Here comes the hill.
Dustin brings up Dobbs being an aerospace engineer. He wouldn't have been able to do that in my era.
It's funny. I watched the tutors at Thornton Center when you have mandatory tutoring, like on the whiteboard with him of like doing problems. And I had my mandatory political science 101 tutoring in there.
That's insane.
Because as a first semester freshman, you have to take like 4 hours of tutoring a week, which I thought was crazy for sports that don't travel very much.
Right.
And I've never felt dumber than watching Josh Dobbs learn aerospace engineering while I'm learning about the Bill of Rights.
By the way,
never
you're
felt dumber.
representing with your NASA
I am.
sweatshirt
Oh, yeah, I am.
today.
Yeah,
Dobbs would be
Josh
proud of it.
Dobbs.
Dobbs would be proud.
Dobbs, who
of
now
him.
flies himself to Tennessee games just casually and sits courtside.
What?
Yeah. You not see that story?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Please send me that. Or
Yeah, it's
tell me
pretty
where
cool.
to see that.
Yeah, it's out there.
Commenter on YouTube says, I thought Will ran the 400 or 800. I am not near that athletic. You kidding me?
He knows about sprinting.
I love
Oh, yeah. I
He
broadcast
calls
all these
games.
events, but no, I can't. I do not have the facilities for that. I already got a text from an old teammate who's a coach now says, can confirm the morning practices with my cup of coffee are my favorite mornings now. That sounds great.
Yeah.
I want to go out there and just toe the grass and feels fast today.
Feels fast.
Take a sip of
today.
coffee.
Get out.
Quick.
Anyway, Art Stapleton of NorthJersey.com says the Giants are very much in the mix for Aaron Rodgers. Interesting stuff yesterday from the Pat McAfee Show.
And from my understanding right now, and you guys may know better than me, that they are pretty significantly down a road where they are negotiating to the point where if Aaron Rodgers ends up as a Giant before the start of the league year next year, it would not be a shock to people in this area and at the Meadowlands.
You're saying they're negotiating? Is that what you just said?
Well, from my understanding is that it has to be part of the negotiation, and I don't know how much Aaron can be involved in speaking with Giants brass, Brian Dable, Joe Shane, but as far as Aaron's representatives, once the Jets made it clear, my understanding is that he can have his representatives talk to other teams. Now, I don't know where the numbers are, but you can't get involved with a player of the caliber of Aaron Rodgers and his resume without at least having an understanding as to what ballpark you have to be in and what he is willing to do at age 41 after what he's gone through the last 2 years. So my understanding is, yes, they have talked about what it would take to get Aaron here with the Giants, to not leave New Jersey. And my understanding is that at every turn, the Giants have yet to be scared off by the idea of, Aaron Rodgers coming on some show every Tuesday. Ooh. Seems like everybody wants that to be the big issue. But, yeah, I think from a football fit, this is something that they're seriously considering.
Everybody in your area that has a blog or a journalism degree.
If you want, Pat McAfee basically just adds on we haven't really heard anything. We don't know. We're in the dark and whatnot. But does sound like the Giants are the leader in the clubhouse for Aaron Rodgers' services.
Mm-hmm. And that is it is a little unique, right? I guess for him, gets to keep his place over there in terms of hopping from the New York Jets to the New York Giants. It's not overly surprising in that fact either, where I think they're looking for more of a short-term fix just to maybe get them some wins this season. Nothing's ever guaranteed, but again, if you want to deal with, it's New York, they're used to the hoopla, they're used to all the stuff that comes along with that type of player. So if that's the bet, then I'm sure they'll go with it.
I've been shaking my head the whole time.
I could see that.
You think it's a dumb move for the Giants?
Dumb, capital D.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's what happens when your owner publicly puts out how desperate he is and has a GM and a head coach who are scalding hot seats.
That's what's wild about it.
Brian Daboll just simply needs to just get on his knees, go up to John Mara, and just beg to keep his job and say, "Sir, we're sorry. We're gonna reset." Mm-hmm. That's hustling backwards to me.
Well, if he wanted to reset, he might be fired. Honestly,
you
think Brian Daboll's a good coach?
Why retain him? I think he has the ability to be good at play calling.
I think he's a good coach.
We saw 1 year of him being what I thought was a good coach. But yeah, I'm in the middle on that one.
I think he's a good coach.
You think he's a good coach?
I don't think he's bad.
I do.
Maybe wrong setting for him to be in New York to try to get it
wrong
going.
quarterback.
Wrong quarterback.
Honestly.
Well, I ain't saying he picking the wrong one again because Aaron may do some good stuff for him, but this to me is hustling backwards so bad. Just the entire move right now.
Sure.
Yeah.
615-737-1045 is our number. We shift gears when we come back. Brent Hubbs of AllQuest and On3, the start of Tennessee spring practice and the start of a day where hypothetically Ramon could go out with a cup of coffee and just survey the practice field and not have to hit a tackling dummy in sight. We'll talk with Brent Hubbs coming up next.
We've got the trucks, all the trims, all the towing, all the bells and whistles, and all at Truck Month Savings. Two Rivers Ford is Ford Truck Central.
Did you know that up to 50% of the air you breathe in your home comes from your crawl space, man? As I get my words together this morning. Well, have you ever looked in your crawl space? I get it. Most of us don't even want to know what's in there, but moisture in your crawl space can create unhealthy issues that can make their way into the air you breathe every day in your home. It's Ramon Foster, and this is where United Structural Systems can help you. USS has been keeping homes dry and stable in Middle Tennessee since 1994, so you know they aren't going anywhere. Help control that moisture and musty smells with mold treatment and crawl space encapsulation that comes with a USS guarantee. That's right. Encapsulation helps reduce high humidity in your crawl space, helps deter mold and mildew, and protects your crawl space from pests and wood rots. Turn your crawl space into a healthy space. Reach out to the company that I trust for foundation repair and waterproofing needs at USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com, or call them the old school way at 615-488-7855. United Structural Systems.
Friday morning continues on RKW, brewed by Scooters Coffee. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. With the whole crew in studio, Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling, joined by our weekly Vols guest here on these Fridays, Brent Hubbs of All Quested on 3 on day one of Tennessee spring practice. Brent, football is back. The offseason, it wrapped up. We get football today. What's going on?
Well, they're on the practice field right now, and so they just finished up inside portion of just stretch and those types of things, and just headed outside for a little routes on air and short abbreviated kind of a walk-through acclimation day today, and then they'll go full week next week with the long full practices of spring ball next week, and then take spring break off. But yeah, it's back, and pretty good mass unit as you would expect to get started here, with some guys limited after some off-season work, and but you're getting to see a lot of new faces today. And Star Thomas, the transfer running back, is a guy who jumps out at you when you watch him run through drills. It's going to be interesting to see kind of how that running back group works out and what that looks like. Peyton Lewis certainly looks like he's had a good offseason as well. Those are a couple of guys that just jump out at you in quick observations this morning at that position.
Brent Hubbs of AllQuest with us. So, Brent, the big question and the story we've been following since last week is Ricky Gibson's status. Do you expect him to be available through all of spring practice? And is there any update on Tennessee working on maybe a new deal to keep him around for the season in the fall?
Well, I do anticipate, he's on the practice field. He's been with the team. I anticipate him continuing to practice and go through spring. I do think that it's much more likely that he is a part of this program moving forward than he's not. But here's what everybody has to keep in mind. The spring portal window doesn't open until the end of April. So what we're learning, and what we've learned, not just about Ricky Gibson, but anybody around the country, is what is the story on Friday, or the plan on Friday could be different come Tuesday. So we'll have to wait and see how it all shakes out. But I do anticipate at this point in time, he will go through all of spring, and I think he'll be on the football field this fall for Tennessee. I think Ricky wants to be here. I think everything will get worked out, whatever that means, and Ricky will be one of Tennessee's starting corners this fall, as it stands as of right now. Again, anything could change, as we well know, but as it stands right now, that's where I think it's at.
So, Brent, in the secondary, I thought it was interesting. You guys wrote about this in the War Room this morning. Nashville native and Lipscomb product Caleb Beasley is a guy who was brought up as a corner, committed to Tennessee as a corner, potentially a guy who could have a new home within this secondary. What are the expectations for a guy like him, Brent, who is at a point in a very, very big part in his career, maybe getting a chance to stick at Tennessee at safety?
Well, I think this is, with Ricky Gibson being out there and Jalen McMurray being out there, and you've got those three newcomers at corner who are a part of the signing class. I think Caleb Beasley's the guy that cross-trains this spring. I think he starts at corner. I think he's at corner here probably the first week. And then I think they will try to look at him some at safety. They might even look at him some at the star position. I think he is the guy that they will fully cross-train after he's had a year under his belt in this system. Where it all shakes out for him, what's best position for him, remains to be seen. And that may depend on just what their depth looks like at various places. But I do think he is the guy that they think can play multiple positions, and I think they'll start that process right now.
Our good friend Brent Hubbs of All Question on 3 with us this morning. Happy Friday, Hubbs.
Happy Friday, Mr. Ramon.
Hopefully you don't get anybody say you on here just rambling and stuff like that, man.
I'm trying my best this morning. I'm trying my best. Yes or no, right? Yes or no question.
Yes, sir. No, sir. With that being said, Hubbs, can we get a little bit more information on how this spring game is going to work out? I saw the capacity for it is 45,000. Ron Slay told me it'll be 40,001 with him being in the building. But why that number, Hubbs, and what's going on around this game?
Oh, I don't know exactly what the format's going to be. We'll see if they put the ball down and play, or if it's more, kind of a practice type deal as opposed to a scrimmage, and we'll find out that moving forward. Part of that will depend on injuries and what's the availability of everybody and stuff like that. The limited capacity is just so they can continue construction. They don't want to take a week to pull equipment out to make the whole stadium accessible to everybody. They will rope off some areas so that they can keep all their equipment in there, and they don't have to put up chain link fencing and barriers and that kind of stuff, and they can continue on with all that they're doing. So I think that no surprise there with the limited capacity. And that's just so they can continue on their path.
Got you. Hubbs, you're speaking of, Will asked about Ricky Gibson earlier, and at other universities will go through this in the spring too, where players are gone. Do you see a scenario, especially in college, that we're seeing in the NFL, that they may get to a point to where trades happen? I know it's the portal, but like the idea that, hey, okay, you want to go to Alabama after this. Go negotiate with their GM and see what we can get back for you. I mean, we're close. We're close enough, Hubbs.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you got to make them employees, and you got to get a collective bargaining agreement before you get into anything like that. I think the biggest step right now that college administrators and college coaches want is that they just want some protection. And I think it starts by eliminating the second portal window. Okay. What no coach wants to do is they do not want to Ramon be sitting here in April trying to figure out what the roster looks like. Mm-hmm. They want to know what the roster is going to look like. So let's not have the two windows. Either do a spring window or do a December window, but don't do both windows. And I think that's where it starts, because that's the easiest fix. And then the question becomes multi-year contracts, employees of schools, and all those things. And that's a much bigger discussion, and that requires true leadership and a commissioner and all kinds of things like that. And I think we're a ways away from getting to that point.
You know what our option was back in 2007, Hubbs? We used to just break into the facility and see what the depth chart was.
Statute of limitations is over now.
Yeah. And if you was third or fourth, guess what? You had to sit your behind down anyway and hope you can advance yourself in camp. That's what we had. That's what our portal was, Hubbs.
Well, then you had to decide, do I want to sit out a year somewhere?
Yeah.
Am I low enough on the depth chart that it's justified for me going somewhere and not playing for a year of football? Do I want to make that kind of deal? And that's the problem right now is, and I'm not against freedom of movement, but we've got to put some parameters on some of this freedom of movement that everybody has, because, you can get mad, you get mad tomorrow in the practice field and be done. I mean, there are some coaches in college football who don't believe in doing team periods in spring practice because they don't want a kid to feel like where he's at on the depth chart, because he can leave in April.
What?
He works third team in spring ball. Hey, I go somewhere else to be first team.
So when
that's the mentality some have.
So when I took that D lineman from the line of scrimmage to the fence, he would have jumped in the portal after that rep, is what you're telling me? That did happen, by the way.
Are you trying to tell me that whole scene in the Blind Side's modeled after you?
Hubbs, I took a grown man at that time from the line of scrimmage to the fence, and the whole D-line laughed at him. Now, I also won most improved that year because we had live reps. I'm off my soapbox, Kayla. It's your turn now.
I mean, I'm enjoying story time. It's very entertaining.
We're bragging. That's when I knew, Kayla. I was like, I got a chance at this football thing.
You knew.
Yeah, you damn right.
The light went on. Brent Hubbs of VolQuest joining us now. Go check out his work. He does awesome jobs, not only talking on here, but writing articles. 10 things I think. I love that. Preseason practice edition. Go read it now. But I did want to ask you about a couple things, Brent. Starting with the offense. And I know everybody wants to know, is this offense by any means going to be tweaked? I know that they brought over Seth Luttrell as an analyst coming over from Oklahoma. But that's not going to mean that it's going to be some big shift, right, in terms of Joey Halsley's responsibilities.
No, I don't think it's a shift at all. I think it's an extra set of eyes. It's an experienced set of eyes. Seth Luttrell's a pretty hard-nosed, on-edge kind of guy. I think he's a little more rowdy, if you will, on the practice field, kind of maybe a little more boot in your hind end type deal. So we'll see how he settles in. But he's also got a lot of knowledge as a head coach and as a coordinator. He knows this system. He's worked this system, but he's done his own version of this system. He's had some tweaks in there too. So Tennessee's not going to suddenly come out and be in the wishbone or anything like that. But I do think, as Josh Heupel will tell you he's done throughout his entire career, you adjust as defenses adjust to you, and you counter their punch. And I've talked about it all off season since the Ohio State game. What is Josh Heupel's counter punch to how teams played them last year with 3 safeties and some different things they did to try to keep the ball in front of them and force Tennessee to be patient, limit the explosive plays? What is Josh Heupel's counter, not only in the run game, but what's his counter with pass routes and different things like that? I think those are all the things they've looked at this offseason, and they will work through this spring.
Brett, when it comes to the offensive line, we know there are a lot of new parts to that, but especially I just feel like that center position, and they've had so much to, be thankful for in Cooper Mays for the past few years. What is the deal with trying to figure out who will be that guy?
Well, they've been looking for the guy behind Cooper Mays for 3 years, and they haven't found one. And now their hands forced. They've got to find one. And, is it going to be Sam Pendleton, the transfer from Notre Dame? He could be a candidate there. Max Anderson, William Satterwhite, Jesse Perry are all potential candidates in there as well. I don't think that's going to be resolved this spring. I don't think they're going to have an answer to that by the end of spring through 15 workouts. But I think they'll have a direction that they're going to go, or maybe a top couple there, and see how that factors out in the summertime. But it's not a, hey, well, we'll figure out somebody. It's a, we have to find somebody deal. So there's a total different sense of urgency at that position for the first time in the Josh Heupel era.
VolQuest Brent Hubbs with us this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Brent, on the recruiting front, a massive weekend for Tennessee football as they continue to recruit five-star wide receiver Tristan Keys. How pivotal of a moment is this and his recruitment just this weekend, and how strong are Tennessee's chances at a position where they kind of got exposed a little bit against Ohio State to land this elite wide receiver?
Well, they're definitely in it. They've been in it for a while. They've had him here. Getting back up here is huge. Getting him back up here with Faison Brandon at the same time is an even bigger deal. And so Tennessee has a big weekend coming up, not in terms of just massive amounts of numbers, but just in terms of the quality who's here. And Faison is working really hard at peer recruiting. Peer recruiting is different than it used to be because of the NIL factor. All these guys are buddies, but everybody always also understands, hey, I want you to play with me. But then when they say, well, I got this deal at this place, well, you got to go do what you got to go do. We all understand that. So it's a little bit different, but those two have continued to have dialogue, continued to be friends with each other. And so getting them both here together for some time spent on this campus together is a huge thing for Tennessee. And, Keys is going to have options everywhere around the country to go wherever he wants to go. And we'll see what that looks like, moving forward. He was going to be in a hurry, wanted something done in like January or February, and he's certainly slowed it down. I think he's going to make a decision in June or July. And if you're Tennessee, getting him here this early is good. You're trying to get him back a couple more times, including an official visit.
Local talent out of East Robinson, man, Zach Groves. I feel like there's been 2 or 3 of them that's escaped the commitment from the Vols, man. I see he'll be back on Rocket Top this weekend, man. What do you expect for in-state talent like him who's rated really good around the country?
Yeah, I mean, that's one. Tennessee's obviously ramping up and is recruiting hard and is trying to do everything they can with him. There's no assumption with anybody in state that they're just going to automatically go to their home state school. So getting him on campus is a big deal, and he's obviously a priority because, again, they're not bringing in 100 guys this weekend. They're bringing in some priority guys this weekend, and certainly Zach Groves is one of those guys. And I like what Tennessee's doing, Ramon, in terms of having smaller weekends as opposed to one big weekend, because you've got to get some one-on-one time with all these guys that you covet, and you want to do that in smaller increments instead of trying to do the car wash, if you will, and run a bunch of people through here at one time.
Hubbs, when the Vols defense is really good in years past, and most teams I feel like in college too, the man in the middle on defense, man, the inside linebacker is the guy that everybody knows, man. How big, Hubbs, is he, if I'm not mistaken, he's draft eligible this year. Is this year for Arion Carter?
I think it's huge. And I think we've created a really high level of expectations for Arion Carter. I think he's played well. I think what people forget about Arion Carter is, he didn't play linebacker in high school. He had not played linebacker since middle school. And so there's a really significant adjustment to what he has gone through. And I think he's gotten better. Has he been perfect? No. I think he missed Keenan Peely last year. It put a lot of onus on Arion, not just as a leader, but a guy who helps line people up while he's still learning to be a linebacker, and he's only, learning it at the SEC level, which is a challenge. But he's got all the leadership skills. He's going to be, very limited to no work this spring because of a shoulder cleanup deal. But he is the voice on defense right now. Now they've got some other leaders, and Bryson Eason can lead some. I think Jackson Moy is going to emerge as a nice leader for Tennessee up front. But the bell cow, if you will, the lead dog is certainly Arion Carter, and Tennessee needs him to take another big step this offseason so that he can be at his best this fall and help those guys around him.
Brent, I did want to ask you one hoops question.
Sure.
With Tennessee dropping that game at Ole Miss and probably out of the number 1 seed consideration right now, do you feel like there's more that goes into the SEC tournament, maybe, in terms of playing for more now that they could possibly get back to that number 1 seed or a number 1 seed?
Well, they could. I mean, depending on how everything goes out in the matchups. I mean, I think Florida's got the lead into that role right now. But what does Florida do here in their last regular season game? What do they do in the tournament? I think the tournament in Nashville is going to be really, really wild. But, I mean, there's still things to play for. I think we all wonder how much the tournament committee, selection committee evaluates conference tournaments. I think when you're looking at 2 schools in the same conference for a potential number 1 seed or 3 schools in the same conference for a potential number 1 seed, you probably put a little more emphasis on it. I think for Rick Barnes and his team right now, the emphasis is on getting back to rebounding the basketball. They've given up way too many offensive rebounds the last 2 games. They've given up way too many points in the paint the last 2 games. They've got to shore up things in the interior, regardless of their seeding, which, I mean, they're going to be at worst case a 2 in the NCAA tournament. But to be at their best going into the tournament, they've got to be better with their inside play, defensively and offensively. They've got to get to the rim. They've got to finish. They've got to be better in the paint than they were against Alabama and certainly than what they were against Ole Miss. And you could hear the anger and frustration in Rick Barnes' voice postgame, just about he felt like his team played soft. And there's one thing about Rick Barnes, he doesn't want anything soft about his program, and he thought they were soft in the interior on Wednesday night.
Brent, quickly on the way out, I was up in Knoxville Tuesday, and it's incredible. People around Tennessee baseball just kind of have their look in their eye of like, we're trying to be calm, but this team is pretty unbelievable, right? Like it is insane the amount of talent that Tony Vitello has that have only had like 5 to 10 at bats this season, like legitimate blue chip talent that is hardly even playing, Brandon. It's just an incredible war chest that Tony Vitello's got at his disposal right now.
It is, and I'm incredibly amazed at how quickly they seem to have come together from a chemistry standpoint. Now, they haven't hit adversity. They haven't really settled into their lineup. They've been rotating guys, looking at guys at different positions, but this freshman class is unbelievable that Tony Vitello has put together. Their impact is showing up, and they've got depth on the mound. I mean, there's nothing about them right now that you look at and say, well, they're going to take some kind of step back from last year. I'm not saying they're going to win it all, but if they could handle adversity, if their chemistry can continue to develop and the clubhouse stays the way Tony Vitello has had it the last few years, man, they're going to be really hard to deal with because they can pitch it in so many different ways. They've got so many arms that guys you really even haven't seen to this point. And AJ Russell's only going to get better. And obviously they can hit the daylights out of the baseball. So they've been terrific, and the conference schedule's coming. We know it's going to get harder when you get into that slate, but everybody in this league's going, oh, wow, really? Like, they lost a bunch of really good players. Like, what's going on with them? And you look at the roster and go, man, they've just got a lot of talent to work with because they're really good.
They are, no doubt about it. Always good to have conversations with Brent Hubbs every Friday at 7:20 here on the show. Appreciate the time, Brent, as always. Thanks so much.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
hey, guys, have a great weekend.
Yes, sir. You as well. There's Brent Hubbs with us this morning, brought to you by Ascend Federal Credit Union, your financial partner for every stage of life. I think you're going to see A.J. Russell maybe make a weekend debut this weekend, the Franklin High School product. So,
that's dope.
Potential future first-round pick. If that dude is healthy, whew, my goodness.
Book it.
It'd be crazy.
Book it.
615-737-1045. Got some time to take your phone calls. Ron Slay will join us coming up at 9:20 at his normal Friday spot as well. Shedeur Sanders, a lot of eyeballs on him this week. He has clapped back a little bit at the media, and we'll talk about that next. Will Bowling here with my guy, Trey Hartsook, Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. That's where you go to take care of your lawn, the best in your neighborhood. And Trey, this is a great time to go ahead and get the best equipment in the neighborhood as well. You guys have got some excellent deals on mowers.
Hey, well, I'll tell you, man, the thing about getting out, cutting your grass, if you're like a lot of people, you really just want to get it done. You don't want it to run a Saturday or Sunday. You want to do it the most efficient way possible. And at Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply, we have so many different great options, great brands, that if you want to come on in, we can talk about it. It doesn't matter whether you have 0.3 of an acre or 33 acres. We have a machine for you that can get the needs done, get that grass cut, so you can get back to hanging out with your family, throwing stuff on the grill, doing whatever you want to do on the weekend. Stop in and see us. We'd love to talk to you about it. We're conveniently located all over Middle Tennessee. Got locations in Nashville, Hendersonville, Murfreesboro, Bellevue, Brentwood, Longmore, Mount Juliet, and Franklin. If you can't get a hold of us, check us out online, DickensSupply.com.
RKW is brewed by Scooter's Coffee. Wrapping up the first half of your Friday morning. Scooter's, amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast, at a show that is going by amazingly quickly this morning. 615-737-1045. So Shedeur Sanders is clapping back at a lot of his perceived drop in the NFL draft. So you've got people like Dane Brugler saying he's going in the 20s to the Steelers. You've got others saying he could be top 10 or he could fall out of the first round of the NFL draft. He was on a video. Hollywood trainer and actor Bradley Martin was in a workout session with him. This video is posted on Twitter. And in the video, Shedeur, who is with a Raiders fan, the Raiders fan tells him, "I'm praying for you, man. I hope to God the Raiders trade up for you." And he goes, "Well, everybody's trying to make my stock drop right now, so who knows?" And Martin, I guess the trainer responds, says, "Who's trying to make it drop?" And Shedeur Sanders responds, "You know how life gets, but it is what it is. It's fool's gold. It ain't real. Don't believe media." Going at the media just a little bit for a lot of his drop. How do you feel about the Shedeur Sanders drop since the combine last week?
It's kind of uneasy because, again, it's more about how the person is perceived. Mind you, Shedeur's never been arrested, never had an issue. Teammates seem to always love him, and he's a worker. Those things are supposed to qualify you and uplift you in those moments. So I feel him on that one, too. His attacks seem to be more personal than they are professional. That ain't right to me, and if somebody don't like the way he talks or his demeanor or aura that he has around him, that sounds more like a you problem in those sense. I saw some media folks this past weekend explaining how GM or offensive coordinator, whoever it was, spoke somewhat ill about him. They're not going to draft him anyway, but Shedeur has a style of he's not going to fit in anybody's mold. He's Deion's kid. Every one of his kids seem to be that way.
Honestly, I kind of
unfair, really.
In this day and age, when you're, and a lot of football players that we're seeing on team, like it's getting younger and younger, right? Because this is a new generation of players that are on these NFL teams. And I think that leaders do things in different ways too. Not saying there's one or the other way that leading it should be done. But I think Shedeur Sanders knows exactly who he is. And he's not willing to change that just because people want to get in the ears of media right now. And by the way, it's not just media. It's these teams, I think, saying things to mess with the up and downs of stock that are putting these out to their little media people. I think that's a big part of it. So we say it, or you hear some of these national people say it, but they're being told some of this stuff by the people in the buildings. That's the biggest part of it. But I just like the fact that Shedeur Sanders is who he is, just like Cam Ward is who he is, and they're not going to change. But I still would consider them leaders. I still think that they can be really good in terms of leading their teams, whoever drafts them. And, maybe if it's not year one, year two. But I don't know why this is now a narrative that he's who he is. We've known this. Why is this just now?
I think it's different for Shedeur Sanders than it is Cam Ward. I think we're talking about two totally different things in terms of making this about Cam. Because Shedeur is Deion's son. Yeah. How much do you guys think the hatred of Deion is negatively impacting Shedeur?
Big time. Yeah. It definitely plays a part in it.
But this, we've known about this for the whole time that he's been Deion's son.
Now it is promoted to a newer audience and a bigger audience because this is now NFL draft season. These are NFL fans. This is professional football fans that get to participate in the discourse that college football fans have been in since he started at Jackson State.
100%. Now he's a professional. They can view him like he's an adult now because you come into a grown man's game. So it's definitely more highlighted.
I think people are unfairly punishing Shedeur Sanders for their dislike of his dad. And you don't have to like any of them. You guys can all formulate your own opinions. I'm not telling you how to feel, but I think it is swung into a toxic direction that is a bit out of control with Shedeur Sanders right now. Like, what do you want him to be? Do you want him not to be confident in himself? Do you want him not to be confident in his arm talent and his ability? And like the line between cocky and brash and confident, like you have to have a healthy level of cockiness to be a successful quarterback prospect. Every single one of these guys is built that way. They are alphas. That is just who quarterbacks are at this level. And it's being spun into negative, toxic cockiness for Shedeur Sanders specifically.
But what I'm saying is this is more of, like, we're saying the media is the one putting this out here. This is what he's talking about. Like, the media is not new to this. Like, you're saying the fans might be new to this now that this is on the next level?
Well,
I'm
the media
sorry.
is, because, there's NFL people that aren't watching him play at Colorado.
Come
We're
on
like,
now. This is Shedeur Sanders. Everybody's been talking about him since he's been at Colorado, since he's been a prospect. The media has no excuse to say we didn't know who Shedeur Sanders was.
I'm not saying there's an excuse at all. I'm saying there's more people participating in the discourse now.
I just think it's lying season. And I think teams are feeding the media certain narratives. I really do. Or putting...
To still draft him early or what?
I don't know what the reason for it is, but now we just start to hear it after the combine, where you have all those media members come together with all these front offices. I just feel like that's a little weird. Just like the CJ Stroud stuff, when all of the stuff came out about his testing and it was a 19 and everyone's going wild, that came out like all at the same time. I just think it's like, this is what happens when these teams get together and want certain things put out to the media.
Yeah, it's
and I don't know the reason for that.
The best word for me is what Will just used a second ago. It's toxic. It's 100% toxic.
And because when it happens with Dion, then Stephen A. Smith's got to comment on it on First Take. It is more of a national discourse and conversation when the Sanders last name is involved in it, fair or unfair. And most of the time, it's pretty unfair, to be quite honest with you.
And this one's unfair, to be quite honest, because he checks every box that you need, honestly.
Yep.
As far as person.
Yeah, I agree.
As far as person.
I don't have any problems with his character, with his personality, with the way he carries himself. He is a confident quarterback that has elevated two programs that have stunk.
Which one would you rather have? One that's confident like he is and is going to be the same way regardless, or one that tells you I need to rewire my brain?
Yeah.
That's the other end.
I think that's an easy answer.
Because if
you don't know exactly who he is yet.
If you like the person, you feel like he's an alpha. Like, I would love to go out on Broadway with Will Levis. He's an alpha, dude. Like that man. But then when somebody else does it who you just don't really like their dad, it becomes cockiness.
Brash.
Yeah.
Cocky.
You're like, oh, how dare he?
Rude. Yeah.
Anyway.
It's just wild to me. Then educate yourself if you're for the first time gonna just badmouth Shedeur Sanders or think he's not gonna be good just because of his dad. Like, welcome to what we've known for years.
615-737-1045. Bracketology for Tennessee. We'll tell you where they are as it pertains to a number one seed, and is it possible for them to still obtain a number one seed in the final couple games of the season. We'll talk about that next.
It's Ramon Foster Hill of Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Y'all, they've been here since 1990 and are family owned and operated. Super cool. Love that, man. Jimmy Hiller also was recently named one of the most admired CEOs, and it's because of how he truly cares for his team and you, the clients, man. Hiller takes care of the customer on every job, every single time, and they stand by the work, so much so that their slogan is, happy you'll bill, the service is free. If a customer isn't pleased with the work performed, they will make it right by any means necessary, man. When they come out to your house, their techs are professional, experienced, and very trustworthy, man. They're going to leave your home better and cleaner than they found it, too. And they also deal with true transparency pricing. What that means is Hiller will line item every part of the job up front so the owners can easily understand what they're paying for and why. There will be no hidden fees, no added costs, no upsells, none of that when you get your bill. You ask for it, they give you exactly what you're looking for at the end of it, man. To book with them, whether it be plumbing, heating, cooling, or electrical, simply visit happyhiller.com.
has sought permission to seek a trade. This time, he appears to be on his way out. The Cincinnati Bengals edge rusher will be granted permission to seek a trade, according to multiple reports. In 2024, he led the NFL with 17.5 sacks and was selected as a first-team All-Pro. The Jacksonville Jaguars are making moves as they yesterday say they plan to release tight end Evan Ingram in a move that will save them just under $6 million against the salary cap. That move comes on the same day as the team agreed to trade wide receiver Christian Kirk to the Houston Texans for a 2026 seventh-round pick. It leaves the Jags without two of quarterback Trevor Lawrence's top pass catchers from the past 3 seasons. And according to NFL Media's Ian Rappaport, the Titans' visits continue today with former Miami quarterback Cam Ward. The Titans reportedly hosted Penn State edge rusher Abdul Carter yesterday and are scheduled to meet with Shedeur Sanders on Monday. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. And we brewed up a fresh hour of the show for you. RKW brewed by our good friends at Scooters. Visit your local Middle Tennessee Scooters Coffee locations in Brentwood, Goodlettsville, Mount Juliet, Smyrna, and White House. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. You know what? I'm going to do something really nice for you today.
What's that?
If you're listening to the sound of our voice, I'm going to give you permission to treat yourself. A Scooters Coffee cinnamon roll is the perfect way to start your Friday. Let's be honest, we're not getting a lot of work done today. It's a Friday. That's the number one thing you learn. You finish college, you go into the adult world. 50% effort is 100% on Fridays. You start your day, you treat yourself, you start celebrating Friday with one of those Scooters Coffee cinnamon rolls. Get a caramelicious coffee. You will thank me later. I'm at Will_bowling where you can send your thank yous.
And it's not just
Matt
coffee,
Ramon,
by
Kayla
the
Will.
way. If you want other things, they've got smoothies.
So
They got all
cinnamon
these
roll.
other things.
Absolutely.
In terms of drinks. So
We did get a comment from Joshua this morning on YouTube.
Yeah.
Who says, finally stopping at Scooters for coffee because of you guys. Drive by it every day.
Come on.
Joshua, well done by you today.
Way to go, man.
give it up
Listener
for
of the day.
Josh.
And tell
The
us
LOTD.
we sent you. Say, RKW
absolutely.
sent me today.
No doubt.
Scoot on by your local
Scoot on
Scooters.
by and have a fantastic day.
Joe Lenardi has bracketology for Tennessee. Back to a 2 seed after the loss in Oxford at Ole Miss. This is not the worst thing, though. And I'll tell you why. If Tennessee was going to be paired with Duke, I was really down about that loss against Ole Miss. Ron Slay says it all the time. He'll join us at 9:20, by the way.
And wait.
That matchups are what matter when you get into March. So the fact that Tennessee went to a 2 seed on paper, I know I'm on a little bit of copium right now. I get it. 2 seed Midwest region with Houston, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I will absolutely take it. A&M would be Tennessee's 3 seed, according to Joe Lenardi. And the Zach Edey Merchants, Purdue, would be the 4 seed. I'm sure they have some kind of 7'5" Dutch guy or whatever, as they usually do this year. That's going to make me irrationally mad. Thankfully, though, Tennessee would be on the other side of the bracket if Purdue is the 4 seed this time around.
No doubt. I missed where you said, what region are they in? Still the West?
Midwest. That would be Indianapolis.
Let's go.
Once again.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, I'll take that all day.
Wouldn't be bad at all.
No, would not be bad at all. Listen, how it unfolds is basically who gets hot and matchups at that point, too. I think at this point, Kentucky's a bad matchup for the Vols. Like, a lot of this matters to health and matchups going into this March Madness. So that, to me, I feel a whole lot better about that. Houston's a tough team. Bigs can move, athletic, and I think that's Tennessee's style if they meet them right before the Final Four. That makes all the sense to me, man. Again, that loss to me wasn't devastating to what the Vols had going on. I think it was bigger for Ole Miss. I was hoping they beat them because this little small man thing that they were doing over the course of the game, I couldn't wait to tweet about it. I couldn't know. But with that being said, that team has the goods. It's to me, I didn't think Ole Miss was a team that should have put up 70-plus points on the Vols. They did. Coach Barnes brought that up, too. They're rebounding. Losses aren't bad unless you make them bad, too. I think the lesson learned in this was you cannot allow a lesser team, respectfully Ole Miss, a lesser team out-rebound you, out-hustle you, and out-physical you when it comes down to these types of teams. So a good prerequisite for what I hope for the SEC tournament, and just honestly preparing any bad moment that you could have, you get it now instead of in the tournament, because then it's one and done. Our coach used to tell us all the time, man, by the time you hit late December of the season and football season, you should have your last loss by then. And it's okay.
Right.
Because it prepares you for what the playoffs are going to be.
Yeah, and so they'll finish up the regular season with South Carolina, obviously, on Saturday. But it's not, I'm not going to call it a get-right game, but a get confidence back type of game, right? And then you head into the SEC tournament. And we just talked to Brent Hubbs about this in our 720 segment. And if you weren't able to hear it, you can go listen to it on the podcast when our show is done. But he, mentioned too, it's not yet decided exactly who the 1 seeds will be. And it will probably take a lot, even in this tournament, if they could go the distance and maybe have a matchup with Florida again and win that. There's a lot of things that can happen.
Right.
But it is interesting in a tournament like this with so many schools. Brent mentioned, how much does the maybe committee look at this tournament in particular and continue to put a lot of stock into their final, teams in terms of seeding? So that will be interesting to see.
They have set the precedent that conference tournaments don't matter as much as we think they do.
Right.
Year after year, consistently, they do not change what they thought should be the case at the end of the regular season of the SEC tournament. What I think is interesting for Tennessee is what happens if you play Florida? Is that essentially a play-in game for a 1 seed, for whoever wins between the Vols and Gators?
Right.
I don't know. Florida hosts Ole Miss this weekend, likely going to win that game in Gainesville, but you never know. I mean, Ole Miss won at Alabama earlier this year. So at that point, let's say hypothetically, Tennessee wins the SEC tournament. I think Tennessee is a 1 seed if they win the SEC tournament. Problem is, that's going to take a lot out of you.
Yes, it will.
I would almost rather be the 2 seed in the Midwest with Houston than have that level of energy taken away from you, win the SEC tournament, and be a 1 seed.
Right.
And then have to go out in the West region. Now, you're likely going to be in Lexington the first round of the NCAA tournament, which I love for Tennessee. The fact that they're going to go to Rupp Arena and make Rupp Arena orange is just fun. That's fun. I enjoy that. But B, being able to play in an arena that you play in every single season, like Zakai Ziegler's won a lot of games at Rupp Arena. So I like that for Tennessee. And then you get Sacramento or Indianapolis in the regional. We'll see. Going to be interesting. I am not optimistic about the 1 seed. Yeah. I think it's done. I think they lost their chance on Saturday. But anything can happen.
Wrong amount of losses at the wrong time. It's later in the season right now.
Just one.
Yeah.
I mean, they got hot at the right time, Tennessee did. And similarly to the way Mississippi State in the SEC tournament kind of took it from them last year. Ole Miss, I think, probably took it from them on Wednesday.
Best thing they got going for them is the fact they get this double bye potentially going into the SEC tournament.
I think
that's
rest
just more
is
rest
huge,
right now. Yeah,
I think that's
absolutely.
proven to anything more than anything, the rest. And I know tournaments, people come to see, they want to see wins. Nashville does a great job putting that on the SEC tournament. But, man, when it comes down to it for these teams that are playing so much throughout a college basketball season, rest is key at that time.
I want Tennessee to be playing on Saturday of the SEC tournament, and that is my goal.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm going to be happy if they win the SEC tournament. But we learned last season when Alabama and Tennessee both got knocked out on Friday, the SEC tournament.
Yep.
Alabama made their first Final Four. Tennessee made the Elite Eight. If they hadn't run into Purdue, and they probably would have made the Final Four as well. Right. I want Tennessee to win 1 game, and then from there, I'm cool either way.
It's a bonus.
I'm saying that on the front end. That way, you can't come back at me if Tennessee loses Friday, and I come back on this show Monday and be like, I'm okay with it. No, you're just coping because you're mad that I want Tennessee to win 1 game at least. I would love for them to win the SEC tournament. I'm not going to be mad. I'm not hoping they lose.
Sure.
But I really want them just to be playing on Saturday, and I'm good from there.
Which one matters more, the regular season or the tournament? The regular season does, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. Then the SEC tournament?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They hand out the SEC championship based on the season. Yeah. Like, the SEC tournament is not the SEC championship.
No.
It's the SEC tournament championship. Yeah. You can kind of claim both, but like...
You can. I'd much rather go through the gauntlet of what the regular season is and have to play yourself into that mold.
Right. Sure.
I mean, watching Mississippi State last year. You know what I'm saying? In Nashville, that was very problematic for me. So
yeah, but if you're one of these bubble teams in the SEC, which there's not many because a lot of them are getting in, this is prime time. This is a chance for you to really just okay, we solidified our spot.
And we said that about Vandy going into the tournament last year. They made a run and they still didn't make it.
Still didn't make it.
I mean, the SEC tournament needs to be weighted more this season because of how good the conference is, and I don't think it's going to be.
That's why you just got to win it if you're a team like Arkansas.
Well,
yeah, it is.
I mean, honestly, though.
But now you're starting on Wednesday.
Yeah.
More teams starting on Wednesdays is going to make it challenging. So we'll see. It'll be interesting. I just think Tennessee with a 7-man rotation and how thin they are, like the energy and the freshness of them going into March is really going to matter. News from Vol Hoops a few minutes ago, Bert Bertelkamp will retire at the end of this season as Tennessee basketball's color analyst.
Oh, wow.
Has been covering games with Bob Kessling since 1999. I'll tell you what, Bert Bertelkamp is an iconic voice of Tennessee basketball, and he is as good of a person as he is a broadcaster. Anyone who has met Bert Bertelkamp and interacted with him knows that. Congratulations to Bert. Hopefully we can get him on the show. We'll try to get him on next week like we did last year before the SEC tournament. But pride of Bearden High School, Knoxville native.
So it will be Mike Keith and then somebody new. So a brand new broadcast. Wow.
Steve Hamer does a great job filling in over there. They will have a lot of options for sure.
Man, I'm sure that's going to be a hot pursuit, too, trying to get that job. Bert is hard. Boy, he is entertaining listening to him. Yes, 100%.
So when we come back, we have 3 names, each of us, for a Tennessee Titans free agency wish list. 1 through 3, like we're sitting on Santa Claus's lap. What do you want? What do you want for free agency Christmas? Before we get to that, though, coming up next, Diana Rossini has a very interesting report about there. I think the Raiders are trying to trade for a sitting starting quarterback of the NFL. I'll give you that theory coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster for Secure Lawn. I'm getting ready to talk to you good folks out there, man. You know who you are. You're the ones that walk around your yard every day getting mad when you see weeds. You obsessively care about your grass. Your spouses and friends tell you talk about your grass more than almost anything else. You want to be the envy of your neighborhood. I get it. I'm the same exact way, man. Now is the time to go ahead and get a company over that you can trust that's going to provide you a prime service on treating your lawn, man. And that is Secure Lawn. Their prime service is this, man. When the team member comes out to your house, they're going to be properly trained and prepared to provide you the best, absolutely potential grass that you can have and meet all your expectations. Is going to keep you a lifelong customer with them, man. They aren't interested in a bunch of sales. Absolutely not. They are a company that thrives off of relationships and just doing good work. They're family owned and operated. They've been here in Tennessee, middle of Tennessee, for over 20 years. They're punctual, and some of the best folks are doing it. Right now is the time to start trimming your lawn for the spring. You need to go ahead and get that started right now. Also this, too. They protects all types of grass, whether you're coaches or business owners. They do residential, commercial, and even athletic fields. So go ahead and get a head start and call Secure Lawn. The number 615-893-8455 or go to securelawn.com.
RKW is brewed by Scooter's Coffee on 104.5 The Zone as we continue this Friday edition. Immediately following the show, you check out the program wherever you download podcasts, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, where you stream us. So Diana Rossini says the Las Vegas Raiders are surveying quarterback options. A bit vague, but I understand the premise of this. Says Raiders are exploring veteran QB options on the free agent and trade market per sources. That includes the possibility of trading for a current starting quarterback. There is one name, guys, that makes the most sense here.
Will Levis.
Nope.
I'm joking.
No.
I'm joking.
I wish.
Current starting quarterback, Dak Prescott.
No, too much money.
What division?
I'll give you conference. I'll give you NFC.
Okay.
I think I know, but I don't want to say it. Jalen Hurts?
No.
I had a homeboy of mine in a group chat say that would you trade Jalen Hurts?
What?
Really?
Does he think the system that Philly has is already set in place?
Baker Mayfield.
No.
I ain't got a clue then, Will.
Geno Smith.
Oh, what? Oh, because of Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
Big
And gives them the opportunity to reset a quarterback.
All right.
Zach Lyons, I'll give the proper credit for this, saying on Twitter that is his theory, thinking it is Geno. I think it makes a ton of sense.
I mean,
a ton of sense.
Seattle's getting rid of everyone. Might as well get rid of quarterback, too.
Trading for a starting franchise quarterback. How much Geno got left on his deal? Or how many years? Not how
Not
much.
a lot.
He's got about a year or two.
Money-wise,
Say
it makes
a year,
sense.
Maybe?
Money-wise, I think it makes sense. I'm pulling up Spot Track right now. A couple of guesses for Brock Purdy in the chat. I mean,
See that?
maybe, but I wouldn't do that if I was San Francisco.
Do that. You can't be that desperate.
I know you got to pay him a lot. Just tag him.
Just
Yeah.
Just tag him
that.
twice.
I agree.
You can't be that desperate.
Geno
Or-
makes the most sense. I
He
mean,
does. Or just move up in the draft and take the quarterback of the future. One or the other could happen in this situation right here. Like, they have options other than just paying a buku money and assets for a franchise starting quarterback. I mean, and it also sets Coach McDonald up out in Seattle, too, to reset and go get his guy potentially.
So Geno Smith is in his last year of his contract this season. He's 35. He is a free agent next offseason. $38.5 million cap hit for this year.
if you could trade and get something out of him, I mean, maybe then Seattle's in the quarterback market.
Seattle? I mean, seriously.
Honestly.
Money-wise, he is maybe the easiest starting quarterback to move. Maybe in the whole league, to be honest with you.
The Raiders, golly, when do teams get this desperate? And what sucks has been so many quarterbacks come out in the draft the last few years. First rounders at that.
Well, and the struggle is like, look at this quarterback class.
Look at this quarterback class. Yeah, I know. It's just not deep. And then when you always want to go for the for sure thing, and it's never a sure pick when it comes down to it. It comes down to, again, to me, I think the coaches need to create systems that they know and go after the quarterback despite the ratings in this point. It is a complicated, I said it, this is where I'm laying my hat at. It's hard being good in the NFL. It just is. And these teams just these coaches need to figure out that their job is to coach and make a team better instead of trying to find a perfect piece sometimes.
It's sustaining success is very challenging in this league.
For sure.
John Robinson couldn't do it. Him and Mike Vrabel, it's what doomed them. They built a really, really good thing here. Couldn't keep it going.
Could not keep it going.
It's like a different way of doing business once you have to start letting go of guys in a perfect world you'd like to keep and replacing them with younger, cheaper options.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other side of that, too, is GMs and coaches have to also minimize themselves and knowing that, look, if this good thing is working for us, just get out of the way or extend them out. Or surround them with more pieces. Like, there's a lot that goes into figuring out what keeps you successful.
And they got to take the emotion out of it and not cry at the combine after they get knocked out and their quarterback throws 3 interceptions in the playoffs against Cincinnati. Not to be specific.
It's hard to be good.
Not to be specific.
Not to be
Free
specific.
agent wish lists for the Tennessee Titans. Legal tampering next week. New league year. Free agency. We are in it, guys. I know we've talked a ton of Titans recently. We've talked a ton of NFL. This is... in a lot of ways, where the NFL is at its peak. Like, the craziness of, like, he signed where? Is about to start. Free agent wish list. We have tasked ourselves with coming up with 3 names listed in priority of 1, 2, and 3. realistic free agents also. Yeah. Like, would I love to have a tag and trade for T. Higgins? Of course. Would I love to sign Josh Sweat? Mm-hmm. Yes. But I think, at least myself personally, I've tried to fit what we know Mike Borgonzi is going to do and what the Titans are going to do of older, shorter deals, don't break the bank free agent moves. So let's start with our number 3 names. Ramon Foster, you may begin. The number 3 priority on your wish list for the Tennessee Titans in free agency is whom?
I wrote down way too many names. I'm going with it right here.
Did you not know we're supposed to do 3?
Yeah, I know, but I couldn't just do 3 because all of them make sense.
Well, we'll do honorable mentions at the end.
All right, I'll go ahead and do one.
We'll do it at 8:45. Stay tuned.
All right, well, bet. If you don't sign Ray, I'm doing this also with the idea that you're not re-signing your own guys.
Oh, I'm not.
Okay, at least with me, that's what I'm doing. My guy on that list is Liam Eichenberg, guard, Miami.
Okay.
Here's why. Young enough. Has played significant amount of time, too. Is he perfect? Absolutely not. But here's what you also got to look at what Borgonzi and Chad have said as of late, too. They're looking for value pick guys that you can potentially get in to service you. Liam Eichenberg, projection for him is about $5 million a year. He's an outsider, so fans will always love that because you don't want Dylan Radins, right? Mm-hmm. Then you satisfied with a guy putting him in a different environment, has played a lot of reps and at the guard position. He's a grader. He's an attitude guy. I like that about him, too. And specifically, you get him on the cheap. That, to me, makes sense.
He's definitely cheap.
Yes, you get him for the cheap.
According to PFF, tied for a low in terms of sacks allowed.
Yep.
Only 2 sacks allowed last season.
Over 1,000 reps.
Yep. Healthy, 644 pass block snaps. His pass block grade from PFF only a 49.7.
Yep.
They do not love him. Granted, PFF loves Aaron Brewer. So, not always the end-all, be-all. PFF, not a primary source. It is a secondary source, in my opinion.
Also gets the ball out quick, so he worked well there.
He does. Different kind of scheme than what the Titans want to be, going from Miami to Tennessee, but a young guy.
Young guy.
6'5", 306, Notre Dame, a second-round pick in 2021. Oh. He is 27 years old, Liam Eichenberg. Just turned 27 in January.
Value and price right there.
Okay.
Yep.
Fair enough.
I'm here for that.
Kayla, third on your list.
Yeah, so this is the one that might go a little bit out of the area of a young free agent, because that's what my other 2 are that you would sign. But this is a need position. This is also a position that I think needs a lot more veteran leadership at this point to help build this line just even over the next year. So I brought his name up a couple weeks ago. Morgan Moses, the right tackle, recently played for the New York Jets. I get it, folks. I understand that he's 34 years old. I understand that he is not a long-term solution by any means. However, this is a position where they have emphasized you have to build up front. And that doesn't mean just starters. That means depth. And I look at this as a guy that could come in, maybe sign a 1-year deal, $4 million or so. He comes in, he starts at right tackle. You could still draft your right tackle, which, by the way, Steve Palazzolo of the 33rd team came on here, I think it was last week, and said, the right tackles, there's right tackles. There's tackles in the second, third round, but I don't know if any of them can start right away. And so I took that into account, too, on if you got a guy like Morgan Moses, that maybe you could at least have him start and bring some leadership in, and then you kind of bring the young guy along. So give me Morgan Moses for maybe the one thing that bucks the trend, an older player, but I think an essential to build up that line.
Gotcha.
I think the familiarity part with Morgan Moses is also significant because you know who his first O-line coach was.
Yeah,
Bill
Callahan in Washington.
Yep. Was there with him from really the beginning of his career. He was drafted there in 2014. He played at Washington until 2020, and Bill Callahan was with him through 2019. So mentored him early in his career. Bill Callahan, guy that certainly will be an option for the Titans. I've got another one at right guard.
Okay.
If you listened to Cover 2 with Blaine and Zach yesterday, you heard Zach Lyons talk about this. He's been in my head recently. We have been aligned on a lot of things on this radio station. Brandon Scherf, Jacksonville Jaguars, right guard. Do it. Mm-hmm. It's funny. So I went to Pro Football Focus, and I was reading their top free agents list. Brandon Scherf, his top free agent comparison is Ramon Foster in 2019.
Oh, my gosh.
Let's go.
That's
Somebody
hilarious.
at PFF writes down. Brandon Scherf says was with so he was also with Bill Callahan from 2015 to 2019.
Nice.
Iowa product, including Callahan's time in 2019 as interim head coach. Injuries each season from 2018 to 2021. He's been great since then.
Yeah.
Started every game over his 3-year contract with the Jags. Former top 5 pick. Is still very capable, what PFF writes. Top free agent comparison, Ramon Foster, 2019.
Let's go.
You had an 82.1 pass block grade in 2018. Brandon Scherf, 78.0. Your true pass set grade, your run block grade percentage, the percentage of cap, very similar to the deal you signed in 2019 as a free agent. If you give me 2019 Ramon Foster, I'll sign up for that 10 times out of 10.
Let's go. If we couldn't get you out of retirement, at least let's get somebody who's compared to you.
Brandon Scherf, 33 years old, did not allow a sack last season.
That's big.
Allowed 2 sacks in 2023, 6 in 2022. I think he is an easy pick. I would love Kevin Zeitler.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The more I've thought about it, the more I look at the money. I think Zeitler, if Zeitler doesn't go back to Detroit, it's a little bit of a red flag almost of like, why would a contending team not want to keep one of their own linemen? I expect him to go back there. So in a perfect world, yeah, I'd sign Kevin Zeitler. If we're doing realistic free agent wish list, Brandon Scherf, I think, is more the Titans' speed and what they could get at right guard. And again, you could draft a 6th round right guard or a 5th round right guard that can sit behind him and step in 2026.
What do you think the money is for him?
$5 million.
Yeah.
About
1 year, 5.
About the same as
I signed a 2 for $9 and some change, got 5 out of it.
Got it.
And you could probably even do like a 2 years for 12, slap a signing bonus on the front of that, lower the cap hit, and you could probably have an out after 1 if you really wanted to, where a lot of that money is either up front while you still have money and you're not paying a quarterback. Maybe you are paying a quarterback, it's Darnold, but give yourself an option.
Though, is what you're saying.
He is a really good pass blocker still at this point in his career, and that is what I want to prioritize. I don't care as much about the run block stuff. That's the only problem with Eichenberg.
I know.
Is he's not a great pass blocker.
Run blocker. No, both. I mean, honestly.
According to PFF, he's not a good pass blocker.
Yeah. Okay.
Again, not the end all.
Can't be perfect, right? We can't have everything.
There's a reason why these guys are available. They're either old or they are young and have major flaws.
Yeah.
So
I got a good list. I'm
poison.
ready to go. You ready?
Number 2.
All right, number 2 for me, Milton Williams is probably the high. He's number 2 on my list, but he's the highest paid one of this group 100%. Of guys right here. Coming into his own, never been a full-time starter, has played a whole lot for Philly, been in that system, understand what it takes, and this is his era to me. You get him at about 10 to 12 million a year for that position right there, a team that has to be able to stop the run game. I think that's going to be the forefront of Denard Wilson's offseason right now, is finding people that can get in coverage or stop the run. Milton Williams fits that. 25.
Down. Love it.
Yep. You good with that?
Big fan. Yep. I love the Milton Williams fit. Absolutely. Kayla, your second pick.
All right. It's a name that everybody's familiar with here that I feel like a lot of people love. I called him, your cup of coffee in the morning last year on the morning show. And I believe that maybe he needs to be upgraded to, maybe an espresso or something on this team. But free agency is free agency. And Nick Westbrook-Akine is a free agent. And he is somebody who I truly feel like they need to bring back here. And right now he is not on the team. Like, he needs to be signed to a new deal.
I didn't think about our own players.
Yeah, and that's, I kind of thought about it. I'm like, wait, this is really a guy that's on my wish list, 27 years old. We clearly know who NWI is. And if you know who he is, and by the way, has been able to play with different quarterbacks, and I think been able to make it work with different quarterbacks here in Tennessee because he's just that hard of a worker. He had a career year. 32 passes for a career high 497 and 9 TDs. He was a big part of the offense down the stretch. He nearly doubled his accumulated total from previous 3 seasons, guys. He has earned this. And I know for one thing, talking to him after the season, he wants to be here. He had his kid here. Him and his wife want to stay here. He just wants more than a 1-year deal, which he's going to get anywhere he goes. But I still think you could get him for a deal and sign him to a multi-year deal and get still a lot out of him at 27 years old.
So what would you be willing to pay Nick Westbrook?
Great question. Because he made, I believe, $2 million last year for a 1-year contract. I would give him probably 5 to 6.
I think he might get double that.
You think?
Yes.
I'd give him 7. In a hometown deal.
So Buck and Lucas were talking about this yesterday because of who else got a contract yesterday? Did you guys see the Tutu Atwell deal?
I did. Yeah, I did do.
1 year, $10 million.
Yeah.
He's 25. Tutu Atwell didn't have Nick Westbrook-Akine numbers last year.
No, he did
Tutu
not.
Atwell had 42 catches for 562. All right, yards are better. No touchdowns.
That's what I mean by like the floor being raised.
I just think he loves it here so much. I think some players are so different in terms of what their end goal is, guys. And that's why I think they could get a bit of a hometown deal. I'm not saying they should like screw him over by any means, but I do think you might see him for a little less here if he gets a multi-year deal.
10 would be the absolute highest I would go for Nick Westbrook-Akine.
Yeah.
I would prefer to be in the 7 to 8 range.
7 would be my
for Nick Westbrook-Akine.
happy spot for that.
Number 2 for me, and as a rule, I would prefer the Titans to address defensive needs and free agency and offense in the draft. Justin Reed of the Kansas City Chiefs is my number 2 pick in terms of free agency wish list. Estimated to receive a 3-year, $46 million contract from Spot Track. I think he's going to get more than that because Budda Baker got 3 years, $54 million. So he is one of the better run defending safeties in the league. And I think pairing Justin Reed with Amani Hooker would be a really, really good match. He's 28 years old. The Chiefs, according to reports, are unlikely to bring him back. Mike Borgonzi has been a part of the Chiefs organization that has employed him since the beginning of his career. The Titans need a run-stuffing safety.
Yep.
The Titans' second and third level was really bad against the run last season. They need someone willing to stick their face in the fan and make a tackle and be tougher in that secondary than what they had last season. I think Justin Reed is a really, really good fit for a Titans need and someone your new general manager is very familiar with. He, to me, is the guy I'd be willing to spend the most on. Get a premium at safety and go that direction.
Like it.
Top of your list. We'll do that next. 615-737-1045, the number 1 names on our free agency wish list for the Tennessee Titans after this.
It's officially truck month at Two Rivers Ford, and I want to give a shout out to the number 1 selling truck in America. It's the Ford F-Series, man. Ford F-Series trucks are literally the best trucks on the road. They have durability, the towing capacity, and the technology that rolls right over the competition. And when it comes to Ford trucks, no one has more trucks than Two Rivers Ford. Right now at Two Rivers Ford, they have over 200 F-150s in stock. All the trims, all the colors, all the options, and you get exactly what you want at Two Rivers Ford. At Two Rivers Ford always sell their F-150s below MSRP, and everything is upfront and honest. So no surprises. This isn't one of those dealers that advertises one price, and when you get to the lot, it's something different. Absolutely not. Two Rivers Ford prides themselves on doing business with integrity. They even have non-commissioned sales team, which means there is no pressure to buy. They get paid regardless, good people. So take advantage of the special truck month savings and test drive the baddest truck on the road at Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer.
You've heard of the grown-up Christmas list. This is our grown-up Titans wish list. In free agency, we have given you names 2 and 3 on each of our respective lists. Now it is time for number 1. Who do you want in free agency? Ramon Foster.
I'm so proud of myself for finding this guy. I feel like Borgonzi don't need to just bring me in a room.
Sure.
This fits everything that they want right here.
Sideline reporter, radio host, middle school football coach,
scout,
NFL PA, important person that we won't get into the specifics of.
Right.
And, yeah, sure, scout.
Titan scout.
And my bonuses are good, too. Number 1 on my list for this team to solidify. Kenneth Murray is set. I think he stays regardless because why shake too many feathers, right? Why shake too many trees?
Well, you don't have anybody in that room.
He can't do something, though. He can't cover.
Sure.
Tyrell Dotson, Centennial.
Centennial High School.
Yep.
The pride of Texas A&M.
Yes, sir. His coverage skill from PFF is an 82.9. Now, his run game, cheeks. That's not what you asked him to do.
Right.
That's what you got Kenneth Murray for.
Yep.
Okay? Kenneth Murray is to do it. He did get waived by Seattle last year, and I think it's just because they were losing, trying to find opportunities, and the run stopping isn't his strength right there. He immediately got picked up. So much, Coach McDonald at Seattle said, look, we just want to give him an opportunity to go find a better spot for him to make plays. And you know what he did? He leveraged that by picked up Miami, went and got 3 interceptions on the year, and I think 40 or 50 more tackles on the season.
He got an 82.9 coverage grade from Pro Football Focus. That was 5th best among 189 linebackers who played this past season.
And this isn't, this is an opportunity moment for him? Absolutely not. You look at his career path that he's had over, the more reps he's played, the better he's gotten, too. He just had, I think, his first 100 tackle season this year. And his price hovering around $5 to $7 million a year.
Yeah, I think he's a $5 to $6 million guy. I think he is almost one you could wait on a little bit, considering the way inside linebackers are. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I think you could sign 2 inside linebackers, and he's one of them that's your third down coverage specialist.
3-year deal, 2-year deals. Don't matter. Yeah.
If you gave me a 2 for 12 for Tyrell Dotson, I mean, he is 26 years old. Maybe he is looking for more stability and more.
But he come home.
Yeah, I remember watching him at Centennial because he's my age, and he's a good player in high school here.
Yeah.
For the Cougars.
Not overly
the
big,
Cougs.
But ball player. Again, his snaps has gone up, and he's made more plays.
Centennial, by the way, who just hired VFL Jay Graham as their new head coach.
Jay Graham. I got to reach out to him.
For football?
Yeah.
Nice.
Football head coach.
Nice.
Yeah. Kayla, who's your number 1?
So you just talked about the safety position, and you went with Reed and the connection too with Borgonzi, obviously. I've got a little bit of a connection with the guy that I would really like, and I know that the safeties right now, and we had Sam Munson on of the 33rd team yesterday, he said that there are a lot of good safeties that are available in free agency. And so it will be interesting because I feel like there's some to pick from, but it's just who will cost the most. But I'm also willing to pay a little bit more for this position if you can get a young guy. And my young guy is from the Las Vegas Raiders by the name of Trevon Merrick. And he is only 25 years old. He had a hell of a season. He is also very familiar with new Titans assistant general manager Dave Ziegler, who spent nearly 2 years over there in Las Vegas with Merrick. Now, in terms of Pro Football Focus, I know we always say it's not the end-all be-all, but it is a way for you to at least get an estimate on what you're looking at with what they do best. You mentioned needs to be some sort of a run stopper. He is just that. He ranked in PFF 87.5 last year in terms of run stopping. 7th out of 170 safeties. His overall grade was a 67.5, which is still in the green. And I think with the resetting of the market with Budda Baker, he would probably command about $12 million a year, which I'm willing to pay. He's only 25 years old. He still has his best football to play.
Also, Frog.
Yeah, I was literally about to say, most importantly, Frog.
Yep.
Played
So
at
I
TCU.
like both of our options at safety, by the way, in terms of if you're going to pay a little more.
The comparable players, according to Spot Track, for the 25-year-old who will be 26 when the season begins, Grant Delpit, Kyle Duggar, Jesse Bates, and Antoine Winfield contracts are seen as the comparison. 3 years, $47 million. The Spot Track estimate around $16 million average annual salary. Mm-hmm. I don't mind it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't mind it at all. Number 1 for me is another Kansas City Chief. At another position we just talked about, I want Nick Bolton. I want Nick Bolton. Honestly, I want to sign Nick Bolton and Tyrell Dodson. Because I think if you bring in Nick Bolton to play next to Kenneth Murray, you're going to need a linebacker who can play coverage. Because Nick Bolton, coverage not his strength. He is an elite run stopper. Really, he is a thumper. Like, the dude puts his face in the fan, gets amongst the trees, and hits dudes. And that is the kind of guy I think the Titans need. 54.4 coverage grade from PFF in the box last year. He played 16 games this past season, only 8 in 2023. Actually had 2 picks, 4 career interceptions. For the 25-year-old who Spot Trek estimates will get $12.5 million average annual salary. I'd go up to about $14 or $15 million for him myself. I think he is a culture guy. I think he is a tough, hard-nosed run defender that I would love. And honestly, I'm not married to Kenneth Murray playing football for this team next year either. Okay. To be quite honest with you, I would not mind Nick Bolton being your thumper and more run specialty defender and pairing him either with a Tyrell Dodson, who's going to be cheaper, or drafting another inside linebacker, or trusting Cedric Gray to go in there and do the job with a full offseason healthy. So Nick Bolton is number one on my wish list.
What would be the money situation or the trade? There's not a ton of trade value, but in terms of Kenneth Murray, what has he got left? Did he sign
He's got 1 year, I believe 1 year left.
He signed a 2-year deal, I think.
He's got 2 or 3.
He in real time.
No, he was a 3, actually. He's got 2 years left. But he's not making that much money.
He's like, you 2 for 15.
No. You could get rid of him.
Okay. Yeah, it's potential out in 2025.
Yeah, you're right. I was right. My gut was right. 2 for 15.
Okay, yeah.
$9 million cap hit, 9.9 for Kenneth Murray this season. They could save $7 million if they released him after June 1st.
Hey, it sounds like we found some new inside linebackers, Will.
Right?
And a safety, Kayla. Like, seriously.
I know.
Can I give y'all my bonuses real quick?
Sure.
Go for it.
Right tackle, George Fant. Cheap, older, but you can play.
He got cut by Seattle, right?
Did. That one is NWI's on that list, and one more I had on this list is Javon Kinlaw, D tackle.
Yeah.
A former first round out of South Carolina. Injuries got him in San Francisco.
Sure.
I think he got traded or cut last year, too. What I'm looking for is what we read in, Nick Suss article when they said, don't give me 2 for 170, give me 26 for 150 or whatever it was. And Kinlaw fits that build to me as far as young, cheap talent that if he does well, guess what? Extend him out later.
Can we touch basis real quick on Ryan Stonehouse? So is he a unrestricted?
No.
A restricted free agent. So what happens?
As an undrafted player, he's restricted.
Okay, so what do they need to do with him?
Nothing.
So they can keep him.
The way restricted works, if a team wants to come and get him, they got to give up something for him.
Okay, I want to make that clear.
It's basically restricted free agent is this. Hey, we did you a favor by believing in you. So here's what we'll do since you played well for us. We'll give you more money, make you a restricted free agent so that you belong to us first. If somebody wants you, they got to give up something to come get you. So that's how it works. Then there's also exclusive rights free agents. Those right there, nobody can negotiate. They give you a contract and say, look, nobody else is going to sign you. You play for this or don't play at all.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's a good explanation.
That is, honestly, a lot of those reports are coming out right now of those tenders. Like the Chiefs just tendered Matt Ariza, an exclusive rights free agent, for a tender worth $960,000. And that's punter money again there, too. That, Ryan Stonehouse will be here, but yes, he is an RFA.
Yeah. He can't. If somebody wants him, they got to give up something. And they can give you an original round tender. Let's say you said Cade Mays, I think.
Cade
Mays got a tender.
Carolina.
If somebody wanted to put a second round tender on him, one, he'd get more pay. But also, if you want to come grab him from that team, which nobody ever does, you got to give up a second round pick for him.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's a great explanation. I didn't know the details on all of that with restricted.
The Titans are continuing top 30 visits today. We'll give you the update from SI.com's Albert Breer and reset the headlines for you to begin hour 4 coming up next. Hey, it's Will Bowling for my friends at Brentwood Hearing Center. Now that March is here and warmer weather is finally approaching, many of us will be finding ourselves doing more outside activities, whether that's gardening, maybe going to sporting events, taking a dip at the pool, you're heading to the beach, you're making that first trip to the ocean. Well, I want to tell you about a revolutionary new product, the Phonak Audio Sphere, which is not only designed to help you hear when there's background noise, but it's also the only completely waterproof hearing aid on the market. Whether you're working up a sweat in the yard, maybe you're enjoying water activities with your kids, your grandkids, there's no longer a need to remove those hearing aids. Even around water, you can still participate in conversations. That's just one example of the very best technology of the market you get when you visit Brentwood Hearing Center. And for a demonstration of the Phonak Sphere, give them a call at 615-377-0420 or visit them online at brentwoodhearingcenter.com. Find out what sounds you have been missing by giving them a call, 615-377-0420. That's Brentwood Hearing Center. Better hearing, better life. 9 o'clock from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. Good morning. Happy Friday. I'm Will Bowling. Titans top 30 visits continue today. According to SI.com's Albert Breer, the Titans will continue visits today with Miami quarterback Cam Ward, who is in the building today to meet with coaches and staff. He adds the idea in getting these done now, having a clearer picture on the draft class ahead of free agency. The Titans also make a move this morning. As NFL Media's Tom Pelissero just reported, the Titans have tendered nose tackle Keandre Coburn's contract. The 24-year-old is an exclusive rights free agent who played in 15 games on the Titans defensive line last season. For the second straight year, Bengals star defensive end Trey Hendrickson is looking for a trade, and according to reports yesterday, he has been granted permission to seek one. In 2024, he led the NFL with 17.5 sacks and was selected as a first-team All-Pro. And the Jags are undergoing major changes as they plan to release tight end Evan Ingram in a move that will save the team $5.9 million against the cap. The move comes on the same day the team agreed to trade receiver Christian Kirk to the Texans for a 2026 seventh-round pick. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. Fourth and final hour this morning on RKW. We are brewed up by Scooters Coffee. Visit your local Middle Tennessee Scooters locations in Brentwood, Goodlettsville, Mount Juliet, Smyrna, and White House. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. 615-737-1045. Tom Pelissero with the nugget. The Titans have tendered Keandre Coburn with a contract.
Yeah, the Texas boys stick together. Sweat and Coburn. I'll tell you, they love Coburn in that locker room, especially that defensive line unit, which is super tight. I love to see it.
Yeah, good. It's one of those young, talented guys you got to have around. He stepped up when you needed him to. He's growing. Again, at this point, there's not a whole lot of options out there, especially when it comes down to quality play, and depth is a big part of that. He stepped in and made plays when he needed to last year. You reward that. Exclusive rights free agent who will be kept around. Of course, Mike Borgonzi, part of the organization that drafted him. Kansas City Chiefs.
That's right. I always forget that.
One of those situations, he's exclusive rights.
Yep.
So you know what happens next year? He's just restricted. Correct. So they get an opportunity. That's, I hate to say it's cheap labor because it ain't cheap labor, but
kind of is.
You use that.
Same process as Jawan Jennings in San Francisco. The Titans fans were familiar with last season when they wanted him, and he was like kind of free agent, but like not really.
Yep.
You have an opportunity to keep him for cheap as a day 3 pick. He was a 6th-round pick by the Chiefs in 2023. Albert Breer says Cam Ward is in the building today.
All right.
For the Tennessee Titans, mentioning that the Titans want to get these visits done before free agency begins. I would imagine, guys, the Titans' decision on whether or not to be in for Sam Darnold will be significantly impacted by how well that visit goes today with Cam Ward.
I agree with you. I don't know how much it can change what was already maybe an idea in the minds of this group, but I do have, a feeling that when you have a guy like Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker, who they have their opinions, and then obviously Brian Callahan, who is an offensive-minded guy. He has had quarterbacks in the past. He's probably got his favorites too. I'm sure there's still a work in progress on coming to a happy medium with what we really want to do. So I agree. I think meetings with a guy like this, that some days it lasts a day and a half, is what Coach Mack said at some point.
Got him last night.
Right. And so I think this could be crucial, especially getting everybody on the same page if they decide to go with the quarterback.
Yeah, this is first step of what next week can tell us. Shedeur, I think, is early next week. Monday
is the reporting. Yeah.
Man, lay it all out. Whatever answers you're looking for. And that also be, it can backfire on them too, because these teams also just collect information from you also in case they have to play against you in future years. But if this is a marriage that they can somewhat pair together and they believe in Cam, boy, again, listened to Burke a little bit yesterday. He made it. Bert Nighthill was on Buck Rising show, and he painted a picture as if they were going to be very slow and methodical and not try to make mistakes this time around. Honestly, I heard that conversation. I thought to myself, well, it sounds to me that they're going to slowly build this thing up. And that, in my mind, because I want this to happen, was they're going to trade back more than likely. So it's a finicky place to be for Cam Ward because he want to oversell it to be the number 1 overall pick. But it's also the business side for the Titans that have to take care of themselves too.
For me, the trade back buzz around the Titans does not inspire a ton of confidence that they love Cam Ward. If you loved Cam Ward and felt like he was an elite quarterback prospect, I don't think we would be hearing the Titans wanted to trade back. We have heard that they have won him over at the Combine. Ron Davenport wrote that at ESPN.com this week. It is in their best interest to say that they like Cam Ward because it allows them to get more for the number 1 overall pick. If the opinion out there is that Cam Ward stinks, then the Giants maybe could get away with 2 day 2 picks to move up to 1. If it's that he's really good, maybe you do have a future first out there. But if there is any scenario where you were acquiring 2 first-round picks, you trade back. I just don't think that's realistic for this team right now. I don't think they're going to get that offer from the Giants for 2 firsts.
And the Giants might sign Aaron Rodgers. And maybe,
reporting is that they want to do both.
Yeah,
they want to do what you want to do here is sign Aaron Rodgers and draft Cam Ward.
Taking my idea, Giants.
He probably was listening. You never know.
Well, spies.
Clearly, I mean, with their son, the GM son's picking stuff off Madden. I mean, it's like,
yeah, right.
I mean, you never know these days.
But regardless, I hope the meeting goes well. Even if they don't draft him, I think that he is going to be successful wherever he goes, except for Cleveland. I'm just joking. I feel like Cleveland just ruins quarterbacks in general. So I have a fear of him going there. Absolutely. But no, I think they'll be impressed with Cam Ward regardless, even if they don't draft him. I think they'll look at him and say, hey, this is a smart young man. He loves the game of football. Maybe for our organization, it's not right now. But I think he'll have a bright future regardless.
It's just so hard to go through this process and not and not know that this is scripted almost in a sense with all of these prospects coming in, but specifically the number 1 overall pick, and know that you're getting a real person. I wonder how long is it going to take for Cam to be himself, good or bad?
I think Cam is always honestly, from what I have heard in all the places he's been, Cam is completely him all the time.
I've also heard a little bit of the opposite too.
Yeah, I've not heard that.
I have heard opposites of that too, to where that's why I'm saying, like, I hope they get an opportunity to see him and he can be himself also. And that comes with the territory of being the number 1 overall pick. And I'll be completely honest with you too. That comes with the territory of being a black quarterback sometimes also. So how much can you be yourself? And how much do you love the talent too? Because again, I mentioned the contrast of 2 players, right? The guy that he's been compared to the most, Shedeur Sanders and Joe Burrow. A lot of what they do is exactly the same.
Who are you talking about?
Shedeur Sanders and Joe Burrow.
I thought we were talking about Cam for a second.
I'm saying in general. I was speaking on the black quarterback and how you want to be yourself.
Sure.
Mike Vick couldn't be himself. Donovan McNabb was a little bit different when not in the building. The same goes for Steve McNair and other quarterbacks that have come out. I think that's the reason you see so much of a shield and a fence around Jalen Hurts. Because he somewhat tried to master his attitude, his perception, and look at Lamar Jackson on the other side of it. You get rawness with him is because he know he's the best in the world, one of the best in the world at what he's doing. Joe Burrow and Shedeur Sanders have the same attitude and mantra, period.
Yeah, I'm still with, I think Cam Ward has all of that and more. I truly do.
I think there's a chance Cam could be successful, but I think he and Shedeur both are going to have to land in the perfect place in order to be successful NFL quarterbacks. I think there are some prospects who could land anywhere and have successful careers. I personally don't believe these 2 guys fall in that category. And I think the Titans ruin quarterbacks too, unfortunately.
Yes. I mean, and they might not have success year 1. Maybe they do get, an opportunity to, like you said, they might go into a better situation. Cleveland is in a better situation with their roster, but Cleveland, again, ruins quarterbacks. I don't know what it is about that organization. They do that. But he probably would be in a better situation next year if he had to start with what they have there around him.
In Cleveland, Yeah.
We ruin them too. Unfortunately. I mean, it's
Just
the
not as
reality
bad.
of the situation. I don't know, though. I mean,
Go through the list.
You don't want
I mean,
to.
they've had
Go
competent
through the
quarterback play more recently than the Titans have.
But they've ruined way more, and they've
Titans-
gone through way more.
I feel like they've just stuck with theirs a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill had a good reset of what was happening, but then you get out of that, Malik, Levis, Mason. I mean, yeah, it's been just as bad. It has.
Yeah. Interesting, the comp on Cam Ward is often Steve McNair. People forget, too, that Steve McNair sat early in his career. Steve McNair started 6 games his first 2 seasons in 1995 and 1996 for the Houston Oilers, and started 16 games in 97 as a Tennessee Oiler. But it took him some time. He completed 52% of his passes, 14 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. To that point, like, he had time to fail.
Yeah.
And like really fail, because he was put into a pretty good situation when he started. Like, he was able to complete 52% of his passes, only have 1 more touchdown than he did picks, and that team went 8-8 in 1997.
Right.
It is crazy. And again, I don't want to start Will Levis anymore, but quarterbacks used to get a lot more time to mess up and to fail.
They did.
And that is what you have to sign up for if you are signing up for the Cam Ward experience. He gets 3 or 4 years to fail and mess up and figure it out, because you don't have the same out that you do for Will Levis as you would for Cam Ward. No. If you draft Cam Ward, you got to be prepared for, all right, we're strapped in for 3 seasons. You get 3 years to figure this stuff out because you are a number 1 overall pick.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you do. I got the list of starting quarterbacks here too, Will. I'm sure you know them, but Kayla, just to give a list real quick, I'll start at Steve. Steve, Billy Volek, Matt Mock, Vince Young, Kerry Collins, Vince Young, Kerry Collins, Rusty Smith.
Kerry's underrated, so underrated. What he brought this franchise.
Well, Matt Hasselbeck, Jake Locker, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Jake Locker, Zach Mettenberger, Charlie Whitehurst, Marcus Mariota, Zach Mettenberger, Marcus, Matt Castle, Marcus, Blaine Gabbert, Ryan Tannehill, Marcus, Ryan for 3 years, Ryan, Malik, Josh Dobbs, Will Levis, Ryan Tannehill, Will Levis, Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, and that's fine. And I can, if you want me to go through the Browns, I will, but it might take me a little longer.
I know that one. So, no, I'm not comparing one to the other.
I'm just saying the Browns, I think, are the worst when it comes to absolutely ruining quarterbacks after even a year. I mean, and you look at this, Malik Willis was never a starter. Like, you know, that you got to look at the starters too in this situation.
I mean, he started some games.
To respectfully,
but he wasn't labeled a starter.
To respectfully compare one to the other, though, I think is where you go to the measuring of classes. Malik, to your point, wasn't a starter, but they was drafted out of need.
We wanted him to be.
You wanted him to be
point.
for the future. And what happened with Malik being thrown into the game, being thrown into as a starter sooner than he needed to, I think you look in hindsight and say what Green Bay has done with him and say if he had more time to grow, then maybe you would have got something out of it. And to protect Cam is what my point has been too. Not maybe 1 year, but 2 years. For me, get the team at a point to where you know he can be successful if you did stick and pick and draft him. It's been my point, because to throw a young guy out there very quick when the talent may not be as high is where you ruin them too.
And that's why a lot of these teams, unfortunately, they're pressed to play him, like Will just said. And a lot of these guys, even in their first season, you know, they don't do what they need to do, even if they're highly drafted and highly touted, even more so than some of these guys that are coming out this year. They still don't necessarily show their stuff, especially in that first year, because they're going to bad teams usually, right? A lot of those teams don't have great offensive lines. And that's the unfortunate situation. But then you get those ones like Jaden Daniels that sometimes those are the guys that kind of pop out where you didn't expect them to be that good.
To that point, though, when you look at how this team is built right now before free agency, I don't see a Washington Commanders story out of it. Just based on the fact.
I mean, right.
And here's what I also want to say. I'm not saying that Cam ain't going to be successful. What I'm saying is you got to also set guys up to be better than what their circumstances are at times. Yeah. And this one isn't a good one for him in Tennessee, in my personal opinion. Now, if he sits stack up a squad around them, different conversation to be had. I'm rooting for both of these guys to be successful. Yeah. And I'll throw Jackson Dart in there too. I do think there is some talent in them, but it has to be the right scenario.
In the first round?
No, not first round.
I don't think Cam Ward would be successful as a Tennessee Titan. I don't.
Yeah, and that's fine, your opinion. I think he could be. I don't think it may be right out of the gates because, again, I've said I've liked to bring in a bridge quarterback here and then kind of let Cam take over the role. But that's been my opinion from the start.
Roy on YouTube says, sounds like Will is pulling for Levis to get another shot. As clearly as I can say it, I'm going to look into the camera. No, I am not.
Right now he is on your roster. You and me right
here, Roy. Well, I'm not putting him in. I'm not playing him unless everybody gets hurt or everybody gets the flu, which I just had. I don't recommend it. Go get a flu shot. I don't recommend it. Steve McNair was the number 3 overall pick. Will Levis was not.
Mm-hmm. One thing they have to do is find out who the hell is their quarterback. So whatever that is, whatever that grand plan is, I'm excited to hear what it is.
Somebody's got to do it.
Because it's not perfect.
Somebody got to do it. All right. Ron Slade joins us. Coming up next, some SEC hoops with our 3HL and SEC Network superstar after this. RKW is brewed by Scooter's Coffee on 104.5 The Zone for another half hour plus for your Friday morning and for your week with a full crew here. And a man who has been on your television set, on your radio. Every time I say television set, I feel like it's 1992 again, but you've seen him everywhere. He was on last night. Man was in Birmingham. I looked at Ramon earlier this morning, and I go, so I guess when do we need to call Slay? No, Slay is here. We are a part of his very busy itinerary.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
this week, what's going on? Welcome.
Will was delighted by that, too.
I was like, I'm excited to see him.
I'm going to make the effort, man. Now, if I can't make it, then I ain't going to be able to make it. I will say I am tired.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it will.
You know what I mean? And, it's why wouldn't I come in? That's the question.
Like,
I got to ride with my
It's a
dogs.
fun hour or fun segment, I should say, whatever it is.
Always.
40 minutes.
Always.
Welcome.
Yeah.
How are you?
What up, Will Lee? I'm good, man. Fresh off the
Birmingham?
road. It was cool. Birmingham is kind of growing.
It is.
That was my first time kind of being able to go around UAB's campus. Mm-hmm. It's like really smack in the heart of downtown.
Yeah,
like
sure
it's,
is.
Yeah, that's weird, man. Like, but it's kind of perfect for it. Like I couldn't imagine the city without it. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like made to go together. So,
nice.
The good little crowd, small crowd, but good little crowd. They said the Memphis game was packed, which is
I'm sure.
that's
right
down
the street for them, right? Yeah.
Then it was kind of early too. I know. Close to the weekend like that, people getting ready to go home. Birmingham, you can get in and out of there. So it was good though. Good to see. That was my first senior night experience.
nice.
That was pretty dope, man.
Like, they said he did it earlier or whatever it was.
I did it earlier, yep. Yeah. And I think they had 7 seniors, so
Nice.
that was interesting.
Sweet.
But everybody delivered. Met some people saw some people that I knew. Mark Ingram.
Stop. You talking about just saw some people
That's
you knew.
I did.
awesome.
Do you ever have a stranger at?
Listen to him. Listen to him. Mark Ingram, the AD, the UT guy.
Yeah.
Got a chance to conversate with him. Then Dan Carlson.
Dan,
man.
Dan,
He
man.
loved
He was in the Thorn Center. Was Dan gone by the time you got there?
Yeah, he was.
Dan Carlson?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Boy, Dan was on our eyes.
Yeah, Dan was always going to be right there.
Yeah.
They were in the
Dan
Thornton
loves
Center.
you.
They were texting you, why are you not here for tutoring?
And
Probably.
smart as a whip,
Yeah,
man.
every bit of it.
Every bit of it. Smart
Every
as
bit of it.
heck, man.
Sharp, really sharp.
Yeah, it's very sharp.
It was good, man. Good environment. Good to talk to Andy Kennedy, who I think, man, I was saying a year ago, like this is one of the hottest coaches in the country.
Absolutely.
So, to be down there 4 years, this is year 5 for him, but 20 plus win seasons, 4 in a row. That's pretty dope. So it's gonna be interesting with this coaching carousel that's about to take place soon. If he stays there or if he goes, there's a couple job openings. So a lot of people want to get back in coaching. A lot of people want to rotate jobs, go take a big gig. So.
I was talking to Kayla. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was talking to Kayla earlier about NIL stuff. On the broadcast last night, I heard you guys talk about a player from UAB being offered $1 million in state.
Yaxel is his first name. I forgot his last name.
That seems like the more complicated part of it.
I know, huh? His last name like Lundenberg or something like that. Yeah. But really good player, 6'9", man, can do it all. So they came after him last year, offered him $1 million. Like a couple of teams did, and then it was about 700,000 for the rest of them. But they offered $1 million, and he's stuck with them. Stay with
Sweet.
AK, man, and
Lindenborg.
Lindenborg, that's right. Yeah.
Jersey guy.
Yaxel Lindenborg, yeah, but great size, pro potential. It's going to be interesting to see how the draft goes with him. Not super athletic, but IQ is pretty good, can handle the ball, kind of that stretch point 4, if you will. So it's going to be interesting. But they had another guy, Baba Miller, for Florida Atlantic.
You love saying that name last
Baba,
night.
yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that. Sam. Yeah, I clinged to that one right there. Baba Miller, man, and Montas from Lithuania, 7-foot freshman. They not gonna see. That's where it's funny. Like you got the NIL that was taking place, the transfer portal, and when you play on the game, like this was on ESPN2 last night, you almost talking to one of the coaches. They were like, man, like don't hype them up too much.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because because we want to try to keep them for one more year. And I'm like, man, I told the coach at the end, like, I was like, hey, man, I'm going to be honest. Ain't nothing I can do. Y'all was running a 4-5 pick and roll. Like, that's not,
really funny,
you
though,
don't
that
see
they
that.
say
It's a 7-footer and a 7-footer running a pick and roll with each other.
I heard you.
Like, you don't see that nowhere, man. And then being able to handle the ball, he got a mentality as far as being able to defend the basket. And he has, Coach Jacobs has a European connection. So he's been able to tap in over there, get some Lithuanian guys, get some guys from Italy. Like, it's interesting, man. But they try to hide these players. Like, that was the first time I ever heard. They ever came to us and was like, hey, man. I mean, they didn't come to us. We were talking to them.
But like general conversation.
Yeah, it was like, hey,
production meeting.
Calm it down.
It's only so much.
Right?
Like,
Don't say too much.
like, give us one more year.
That's why spring games are getting canceled, and spring games aren't on TV this year.
Dude, there was 8
including
scouts.
Tennessee's.
8 NBA scouts, though.
What? At UAB?
There you go.
In FAU.
So he pretty much, you told him after the game, like Magic Johnson told the Lakers, he ain't going to be here.
Yeah, right.
Shaking his head. Yeah, nah.
So shifting gears, Tennessee and Ole Miss the other night, Slay. Challenging one for Tennessee, and you could tell listening to Rick Barnes' comments after the game. He was as unhappy about this loss as he was about any loss all season.
Yeah.
Because he felt like Tennessee got out physicaled and out muscled.
Right.
In that game. That is a rare feat for the team that is last in offensive rebound in the SEC to have 11 second-half offensive rebounds against Tennessee, which allowed Ole Miss to win that game.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And then you also, I mean, the head-scratcher is, and people got to understand, like, you really got to watch the game, man. Ole Miss, they can score from all over.
Their mid-range was sick.
Yeah, they want. I mean,
all of them were tough too.
You get in the second half. You give me that game again. This same second half. I'm gonna put a lot of money on that. Ole Miss can't pull it out. They were hitting
10 times. They might win 2.
Yeah, like I mean, when I say contested,
right?
Some of them shots, I was like, golly. Like, if they would play like this early, they would still been in the top 25. They'd probably be a top 15 team, as explosive as they are offensively. Dude, Jamin Brakefield,
19 second-half points.
Yeah, like they're playing him at the 5, Dre Davis, like all of these guys, and then when you couple that with the offensive rebounds, I think that right there is what compounds and gets you the loss like you do. But it's one of them nights, man. It's like you played against a team whose back was against the wall. They're playing for seeding. They want to not have to go into the SEC tournament. They have to get a win. They want to take care of it in the regular season, and they did that. That was a huge win. They gave it their all. They'll probably go down to Florida and get mopped. You know what I'm saying?
Probably.
And just get ready for the SEC tournament because Florida's that engaged and pay attention to that much detail, and they got 7-footers down there that you're not about to out-rebound. You out-rebound them, and you on your way. Right. You on your way to the Final Four. You can do that. You can do that back-to-back games. You're going to show me something, especially against Florida, who's one of the hottest teams in the country.
The question I have for you, Slay, is did Ole Miss put out a book on how to score against Tennessee in isolating Felix Okpara defending the perimeter?
You know what, Will? I was watching that, and I would say no because it's rare that you see Felix not be able to time things.
Sure. You know what I'm saying? That's a rare kind of athlete you've got to have to be able to take him on the dribble at that size and finish over him. But I wanted to, it felt like, though, this could be a blueprint for teams that do have one of those guys.
I want them to try. Okay. I want all those teams to try.
Fair enough.
I think Felix is going to win the most of those battles. And you got to look at the shots that they were making. It was like, man, Felix was just a tick off. Sure. I mean, a tick off from the help side blocks, all of it. It was something that was missing in that game, man. I'll take him all day because the effort was there. Yeah. He just was missing, you know what I'm saying? And then they were hitting. A lot of times you don't even have to block the shot. Just him being that long and being right there in front of you is going to alter your shot a little bit. And I think he does that quite well. They were just, man, that's an anomaly to me. They were hot. And I'm talking about their front court. Like Padula and them, all right, we understand who Murray and all these guys are, but Brakefield and Davis, like, they rode that hot hand, and he was hot. He can score offensively. Malik Deal did it in the first half. So, I mean, they were able to pick up on it. That's one of them tip the caps. Yeah. Good job, man. We ain't going all right, yeah, we're going to go back to the drawing board. Yeah, we got to get tougher, but come on, man, just pay attention to the details. Sure. That last little tip in that Brakefield was able to get, Gainey and them had the guy boxed out.
In position.
It took a weird bounce, and then the dude smacked it off the backboard, and it was like Brakefield just happened to be in the right place. So
right
that's why nobody goes undefeated in basketball.
Exactly.
Dude, that's what makes March so crazy and the madness begin. Like, you never know. All it is somebody to get hot, like Brakefield did, somebody to miss a box out,
right?
Somebody to lose the handle like Igor did. Yep. Like, it was a body foul, but no ref's going to call that getting ready to go into the tournament.
Totally.
It was a swipe down, but he didn't get no body. Igor just kind of lost it a little bit. And
he was shooting before he had control.
It was an excellent play.
Really, Rick Barnes in his bag. And the set he had for Akpara, too, out of the timeout on the baseline. That's the first time they have run that all season.
Man, that was beautiful.
It was.
I wish they could have saved it, but it was the perfect time to pull it out.
Yeah.
That was real nice. And you saw them guys down there jockeying for position with Chaz pushing and everything. And, dude, that's a small group. So throw it to the biggest guy on the court. Great job tipping it in. But that offensively, what we saw out of Felix is also
significant.
Yeah, that's big,
yes,
man. Being able to say, hey, we're going to give you the ball, and he scored and getting confident. Mm-hmm. You remember we were talking 2 months ago, this man was shooting every ball at hooks. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So this is growth right here. You're going to be all right.
It was, man. Also, to that point about what Ole Miss did. One, Malik was just pushing the ball into the rim. He was on so big, all right? Is there anybody else besides Janai Broom that they'll see in the tournament that can handle the way Braylon, what's his name? From
Jamin Brakefield
was handling the ball? Because he got to a point, he's a lefty too, if I'm not mistaken. Like, he played to his advantages against Akpara.
Yeah.
He got to get up on his screens and stuff like that. But, like, I don't see how many other bigs that play in the paint that's going to do that besides Janai Broom.
No, just flat out big. He's not really a big. He's an undersized guy that's playing out of position, really. Right. He's really a 3/4, but they're so small and Malik doesn't play as big as he should, so they get to slide him to the 5, which creates a mismatch. Anybody else is going to eat that up. They got a guy 7'2" over there, Bowl, who doesn't get to play, but is a project. But, yeah, outside of them, I would say Florida, they got the skilled big guys to be able to go out there and give you trouble when you look at Thomas Houck and Alex Condon. Mark Mitchell is kind of like that in Missouri. He's a matchup problem, but they still play him at the 4. So it's not going to be many guys that's going to be matched up against Tennessee or anybody else that can kind of, not that I can think of.
Yeah, just
Kyler Murray Boyles is a guy. He's big.
Like
that's going to be tough. And he just started playing like that at the end. So, the big fella, Amari Williams from Kentucky.
And he's giving them problems too.
Yeah, exactly.
Same kind of thing.
He's giving them problems. Yep. So, those are the kind, but that's where it comes to matchups.
Right.
And you want to get deep into the tournament and, hopefully not have to face those guys.
I don't hate the Houston matchup and being linked up with them.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier.
I'm cool with that.
What
I was
the
listening.
best option could be.
They are similar to Tennessee defensively.
Mm-hmm.
They rebound really well.
Yep.
Give me Tennessee against a team like that every time, though, because can you do that against Tennessee?
Right.
Is the thing.
Right. Give me that rock fight. I think they did have some good additions with L.J. Cryer being able to step up the way he has. I forgot the point guard's name, but he's really good.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
UC's or something like that. But he waited his time for Shed to be gone. Now the ball's in his hand, and he's been doing a really good job for Houston. But their bigs are more Juwan Roberts. Those guys are bully bigs. And
old school.
I want that. Yeah, give me that.
Ralph Sampson.
Yeah, let's play against that. Like, I think that's why the matchup is good against Auburn.
Right.
Because it's Broom and Cardwell down there, and you used to, all right, well, Igor and Felix, man up. Go get them. Yeah. Like, we'll take that all day. So, yeah, I like that matchup. I like the Houston matchup. I'll take the Iowa State matchup. Mm-hmm. I like anything that's a rock fight, give me that.
Same with A&M, too. That's why Tennessee was able to go to College Station and match up with them like that. Auburn couldn't. Because their size and front line kind of got neutralized a little bit.
Absolutely.
When it comes to the SEC tournament, that, again, is here in Nashville, and we love it, and they do such a great job. You can see Slay, because he will be on the desk as well. What is now just the mentality for teams going into this? Because it is changed.
Yeah.
And you see Tennessee and you're like, okay, you'd love for them to win it, but they don't really need to win it. And rest, I feel like now more than ever is so key for these teams.
Yeah, I think so. But what you got to realize too is don't get hung up on the rest because you're not playing against the league. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. The league, the conference is so deep. Like, you need 8, 9, 10 guys to be able to go in 2 times a week, play against Florida, play against Alabama, play against Missouri, play against all these teams like Kentucky, Mississippi State. That's going to go deep. So, but you can't get jaded by that when you look around the nation. At this point, nothing's really changed. You look at St. John's, the way they play. They're going 7 deep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You look at Michigan State, they're going 7 deep.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you can't watch the SEC and be like, okay, everybody's like this. It's okay if you, especially if you got that double bye, to say I'm going to play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You give your all. Hopefully you don't have to play on that Thursday. Hopefully you get a Friday game so you travel, rest, get to recoup. But even if you do, you're okay with 7 to 8 people.
Okay.
In the conference, you need 9 or 10. Like, that's what, throughout the whole season, that's what's been scaring me about Tennessee. Like, man, they got to go play against Florida, dude. It's 4 bigs. Like, it's 4 guards. It's too many players. And we only got 7 that we can really depend on, even though people are coming on. Bishop, Dubar starting to do his thing, which is giving us depth again. But, yeah, it's the SEC tournament is going to be, to me, way more difficult than the NCAA tournament.
Wow.
Just because of the depth that's in the league. Like, you can literally go and say, we're going to go 5 guys today, and 3 of them guys ain't going to play tomorrow.
Exactly.
And we still going to have an opportunity to win. That's how deep the league is. You know what I'm saying? But you can't do that in the NCAA tournament.
No.
Ron Slay in studio with us. We'll continue the hoops discussion when we come back. And a legend retiring on Rocky Top. We'll get Slay's thoughts on Knoxville's finest, Bert Bertelkamp, after this on the 104.5 The Zone. RKW brewed by Scooters Coffee on 104.5 The Zone, wrapping up the show on a Friday. You made it to the weekend. Congratulations. Friday when we're going to act like it. That's what we always say in this program. Bert Bertelkamp announcing his retirement for the Vol Network. That guy is a treasure.
Dude.
Big time.
Every bit of it. Like, it's nothing. And I'm not sure if people understand, like, players, it's a lot of times you block out the noise when you're playing a game, but it is some significant people or voices that you can tune into while playing. And I can guarantee you it's plenty of times when it's loud, you can't hear a soul in there, but you hit a 3 and you know money.
Yep.
You can hear Bert over there going crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, as involved and locked into the game that he is, it's almost like he's still a player. Like, being able to watch him when they're calling the game, he could give a damn about what Bob's talking about. Like, he's looking at the game like this. Like, sometimes they have a monitor there. He don't even look at the monitor. He's just like, okay, yeah, there it is. Give it to him, Shaq. Like,
talk to me.
Yeah,
talk to me.
He's trying to play by play. Bert is like, man, he's sitting there with his buddies, man, like talking to everybody. Like, man, there it is. Talk to me, baby.
Talk to me is my favorite.
Okay, all right, man. Yeah, but he set a precedent, dog. Like,
he did.
I couldn't see. I love Mike Keith moving into that role, but when Bob was walking away, I kept saying, like, this has got to be it for Bert.
Yeah.
I can't see Bert with anybody else. Like, that was a marriage that was made for that run that they were on, man. So, man, kudos to him riding out into the sunset. I know he's going to be chasing his daughters around and watching sports. So, salute. He still be there, though. He's in Tennessee's fabric. Through and through. No, there is no basketball without Bert.
We'll have him on the show next week. I know he's happy to not have to do interviews as the last guy that won the SEC tournament.
Right.
Because for a while, he was on the last team that had won the SEC tournament until a couple years ago in Tampa. When Tennessee beat
That's
Ames.
right. So I'd go ahead and put you on the spot. I know you've been text probably already. You going courtside or what? I mean, I'm
hey,
as well
man.
throw you
Right?
Man,
I'm
guess
sure
what,
he's got
Savage? I'm going to tell you one thing. I would love to, a little dental place, something I got a smart balance. Hey, I would
that's
love.
all they try to do nowadays.
I'm going to have to give me a little job.
Right?
Yeah, I'm trying to go sidelines so I can get me some dental work done. Yeah, but no question, man. It's nothing like it, dog. When you're able to go back to your alma mater and be able to call a game. And you know what you're talking about. Like, you literally can take everybody behind the scenes and say exactly what it means to run through the T. Like, we had a T too, Savage. Don't think y'all was the only ones that had a T. We had a little T. We brought the Ernie and Bernie T back when we was running through the T. So, man, it's a different feeling, man. And you get to be biased. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest part for me.
About it,
I'm like, I get to really be. Y'all want me a fool? I'm gonna really show y'all how to act a fool in here. But man, this was. I would love to turn the fan bases up. That was one of the most fun times I had. The opportunity I got to go down with Bob Kessling and call that LSU game during COVID. That was everything, dog. You talking about nervous?
I wish you'd had a better game to call.
Man, but it was so good because you were right there. I got to hear LSU punking us.
Yeah, they did.
You know what I'm saying? And then to see Tennessee respond the next day, I was like, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, give me all that. So, yeah, man, that ain't nothing like calling your own school, Savage.
That would have to be dope.
Wait, so did you answer his question?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't gotten a call. My phone line still the same, though. Email ain't changed since I left UT.
You still got the same contact.
Yeah, I might still got the same. You feel me? I got, the thing might be UTK.edu. I set up MySpace in the Thornton Center.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
That's
MySpace, Tom.
Yeah, man, you better know it. So, I'm wide open, man. Hit me up.
That's hard, right?
That's awesome. Slate, real quick, so you've already had a crazy week. So how does it finish? Because you're not done yet.
No, I got I got a flight. I boarded at 1:00. Headed to Arkansas to do Mississippi State, Arkansas tomorrow at 11 a.m.
It's a big one,
which will be a good game. Yeah, that's some NCAA seating on the line for that one right there. So that's gonna be good. And then come back. I get back at like midnight. I'm gonna fly out after the game since it's an early game. But I gotta go through Fort Worth and come back.
Wow.
Yeah, get back about midnight. Rest Sunday and shoot. It's time.
SEC tournament.
SEC tournament
next week.
Next week,
and an extra day of full 4 games on Wednesday.
Yep. And then the good part, man, to get down there Tuesday and see these teams that's gonna play Wednesday, go through their shoot arounds and see how focused they are. So Gonna be
I
fun,
love the
man.
shoot-arounds.
Yeah.
That's a great time to just kind of go in there and
you just be a sponge. You know what I'm saying? And coaches are kind of relaxed walking into that. It's like, it's the tournament. You know what I mean? It's one game. It ain't too much coaching. We're going to be able to do X and O's. Just pay attention to the details and let's go win. So, yeah.
That's too real.
I love it. Zakai Ziegler's senior day tomorrow. There are going to be a lot of misty eyes.
Man.
Him and Shaq together, dog. Like, that's going to be. I wonder which one's gonna cry. Meshack definitely crying.
Oh yeah, they're both. Rick Barnes. I'm so glad.
Rick Barnes.
They can't say this. I can. I'm so glad they're playing South Carolina.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Plus, they got that's a big one. You're absolutely
it's
right
not Kentucky
about
like it was last
year.
year.
And then plus you get to get a get back because then South Carolina after we wrapped up
won
the
in
SEC
Knoxville last
championship,
year.
so they ended up winning. But Kevin Sampson held it together until his guy, Jawan Roberts, I think I'm saying his name right, walked out there and he just broke down.
He did.
The way Rick has talked about Zakai, when he give him a hug, I would expect him to break down like that. That'll be totally. I said I would. Did you cry on your senior day?
I did not.
Man, I said I wasn't, man. But then I walked out there with granddad. Both my granddaddies, like, man, that was to turn around and see them. Like, I was like, damn.
Cool.
It was circumstantial, too, because we were bad that year. I was focused on, like, going to the draft.
Yep.
So my mindset was what my mama, I look at it now since my mama passed away. And I'd be like, I remember handing her that rose, hugging her.
Yeah.
Like, I see
awesome.
all of that.
You have that picture still?
I see we didn't have cameras like that. Like, nobody was taking pictures like that.
I forget.
There's a picture of you carrying off Fulmer after the game. That picture's everywhere.
I remember everything about the last tackle, the practice before. All of that I remember. I have mental images of all of that still.
And you beat Kentucky.
It's huge. Yeah.
You were 4-0 against them.
Yeah, never lost.
Most Tennessee players are 4-0 against Kentucky in football. Ron Slay making time in his very busy schedule to join us this morning. Good to see you, sir.
No doubt, man. Appreciate it, baby.
That is the show. That is our Friday, and the Buck Rising Show has you covered. Coming up next, legal tampering is here Monday. We're going to have breaking reports maybe on the Titans, looking at some guys.
Can't wait.
On Monday. Looking forward to it. Shedeur Sanders visit as well Monday. We'll have all the reaction to that, to the SEC Hoops season, and more coming up for you.
Yeah, y'all know how we do it on Fridays, man. Call somebody you ain't talked to in a very long time. Apologize to somebody for being a jerk to them, maybe. Even if they were one to you, buy somebody a random drink. Have a random conversation with somebody. Everybody love everybody, man. But please remember, your Twitter fingers and your mic always high.